Well, welcome to a special episode of Emerald Hill Skies live stream. As you can see, our setup's a little bit different tonight. We're actually out in the observatory, and we'll see if we can show you that a little bit better by letting you look at the scope cam. I'm actually sitting here right beside the RASA 11, and the first thing we're going to do is actually raise it up using that Pier-Tech 2 height adjustable pier. And we're here doing this special episode tonight because of the Tau Herculids meteor storm that might happen at somewhere in the neighborhood of 1 a.m. There's been quite a lot of hype about this, and we're going to see if it really takes place. In the meantime, no matter what, we'll be here under the Emerald Hill skies, and it's a beautifully clear night, and it's particularly warm. We'll have to get up the Pegasus Astro pocket power box in a minute to get a reading on the temperature there at the end of the scope. There on the outrigger, we'll get an exact reading in just a second, but I would guess it's probably 72 degrees perfectly. Let's see here. Let's try to start up that pocket power box. We'll take a look and see what the temperature it shows us here. It looks like it's saying 75.4 degrees. How about that? That's pretty good, huh? 75.4. Let's see. I'm going to try to get back up to where we were. Here's the live view of the sky from our ASI, our ZWO ASI2600MC monochrome camera. Let's make that a little bit brighter. We're going to go with maybe a 4-second exposure. See if we can brighten that up a little bit. That should let us see those meteors if they exist. I'm just going to try to find our live stream here on the web in hopes that we can check out the audio and make sure that you're hearing us. Oh, there we go. Make sure that you're hearing us. Okay, that audio is not quite what it normally is because we're kind of out here among all this fan noise and everything in the observatory itself. Now, what do you say? Let's come back. And we'll go next to our Planetarium software. And in our Planetarium software, we'll slew the scope just to kind of get started to the right part of the sky. And the part of the sky where we want to be is, well, that was just totally unsuccessful, wasn't it? The part of the sky we want to be is in the, let's get back to the screen here. Looks like Lake Livingston, Texas. Lying outdoors in sun loungers, watching the sky in your live stream. Well, bless your heart, clear ambient skies from Lake Livingston, Texas. Good to have you aboard. Boy, thanks for that audio read because this is a totally different setup. Azray, good to have you aboard. Azray-Astro, you're a faithful friend. Okay, we're going to try to slew the scope now. Let's go to Arcturus because that's supposed to be the kind of the source. So let's center on Arcturus and let's also slew there. And hopefully you'll be able to see a little bit of the scope when it slews there. We're not slewing very well, are we? Let's come back, and maybe we weren't linked after all to our Planetarium software. No, we definitely weren't. Let's come back to that. This is a little bit different setup. We're here tonight in the observatory, and we're using for the first time our setup that lets us view what the scope is seeing. Let's see, we're gonna try to establish a connection with the scope from our Planetarium software. And Arcturus, kind of get Arcturus up. Here we go. I'm going to bring this up there on your screen and go back to the screen view. There we're going to go to, in the Constellation Hercules, the star Arcturus, which is roughly supposed to be the center of this. Let's go over and see if we can establish a link to the map from the Planetarium software. This is live TV. Don't you love live TV? There's a bug crawling across our screen. If you're here and you're observing, I see that there's several others on the live stream now. If you're trying to observe with us, oh, there we go. We just established a connection. I'm going to go ahead and close that telescope control panel. And now, let's see, I'm going to scoot this panel over there. And then let's try now slewing. There we go. Took us a minute to get all that set, didn't it? This is the first time I'm actually out here in the observatory with the scope. And I love seeing this thing at work. I don't know if you can hear that over the mic or not, but I just got to admit, I've been observing from inside the building this winter, and this is my first time actually to be out here and watch the scope live. I wonder if I can turn this. No, it's not going to be very helpful, is it? Because it's so dark up there. But you're looking up at the scope. Pretty fun. Of course, you've got the live view from the normal scope cam that we have, so that's a live view on the left there. You can see the scope is pointed almost directly overhead at the zenith. Let's come back now at our screen. You can see the Planetarium software there. And let's kind of preview what this is going to look like by coming here into our SkyCam view. We're using our SkyCam view because it shows us about 150 degrees, and we can always zoom in a little bit if we want. I don't know what'll be the best view of the sky. Well, look, if I'm not mistaken, there might have been a couple of meteors right there in the very first frame we captured. Now I wonder if we were to live stack this, will we be able to see the collection of meteors? Azray, looks like you've got your 8-inch RASA imaging while you're watching this. You're multitasking there. I think we're going to try to live stack. And Let's see if we can get our bearings here. That's probably Arcturus right there. Kind of try to get our bearings. Just kind of looking here to see if I can spot which end is up. Oh, here's the Big Dipper. So if you see the bowl, there's the open bowl, and then here's the handle. So sure enough, that's Arcturus. I'll see, that could be meteors there too, couldn't it? Wow, how about that? How am I going to be able to show you guys? Let's try live stacking and see what happens. I've never ever once tried live stacking with this 178. How would that work? Wow, that's bright, isn't it? There's not going to be a white balance, is there? What about there's an auto stretch. I don't know how this lock level is going to go. This is my first time live stacking with this monochrome camera. That's kind of why I wanted to try to get started a little bit early if we could. And that way we can kind of get a feel for what this is going to look like. Help us watch there in the sky if you can, and help us see. You might be able to do video, as Ray says. All right, how would we do that? Cancel the live stack, you're saying? Okay, so we're going to cancel the live stack. And wouldn't that be the same as a live view? Your camera is in still mode. Capture and save images using Start, Capture, Quick Capture, or Snapshot. Switch to live video mode by pressing the live view button. So actually, Azray, I think we were already in video. You're saying just lower the exposure. Let's go down to like 1 second and increase the gain. Let's see what a gain of 400 does. So this is a 1 second, these are 1 second exposures. And of course, if NASA's predictions are true, it actually will hit around 1 a.m. I wonder if we can go to 500 gain. How high does the gain? Oh, that's pretty noisy, isn't it? But we might be able to go down now to 0.5 seconds in SharpCap as AVI type file. Oh. How in the world would I do that? Color space. Oh, there's a mono 16. Binning. I wonder if I would bin 2 maybe to, and then output format. Looks like my choices are SAR files, PNG, FITS, TIFF, and ADV. So I don't think I have a choice of AVI. Okay, so Azray, you're saying that you're not sure that'll work. But this did cause us to go up and change this to mono 16, which I like that idea. That should be a higher res. I wonder if I should try binning with a bin 2. That way we'll have a smaller resolution, but it should be more sensitive, shouldn't it? Okay, we're on half-second exposures now at 500 gain. Let's pull this gain down to 450. See if we can get rid of some of that noise. Let's increase the exposure up to 1 second. I don't know if that's... It's kind of bothersome because there's a... I think that's some kind of a weevil on my screen. Get off there, please. Okay, so he's gone for a moment. I've got my screen on the red night version. Does that, of course, that doesn't affect you, huh? I'm going to look. No, I can see on my phone here. You're seeing it in the normal. The moments capturing lights. Does anyone see anything? Well, actually, I thought I saw a trail a while ago, but we are still a little bit early. They said the biggest phase would hit around 1 a.m., and so we're still 45 minutes early. Looks like we have quite a few folks on the live stream already. If you're here observing with us, keep in mind you're seeing real time exactly what we're seeing. So if you don't mind telling us where you're observing from. I have this monochrome camera on bin 2, and we've got our range set on the camera at auto, in other words, the widest screen. Let's come in a little bit, maybe let's come into like there's 75%. Let me see if I can make that bigger for you. It's because we're bin 2, isn't it? That's a smaller resolution for you. Let's go back to bin 1 and get that full effect for you. There we go, 50%, 66%. That's probably about as big of a screen as I'm going to be able to get for you who are watching. Now, I'm trying to just look at my phone. There's Amopudi in Brampton. Good to have you here. Now that's up in, remind me where Brampton is. Is that in Canada? Brampton, maybe Ontario. And we're going to change our title here to say, hoping to catch the Tau Herculids live here in the Emerald Hill skies. Something like that. What does that look like now? A little bit too long. Okay, how about that? Okay. Near Toronto. That's what I thought. Well, it's good to have you here. I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Amopudi. Now I'm kind of trying to look and see what you're seeing on the phone. Let me widen my phone out for a second. Yeah, it looks like I can see. So if you see over there to the right, over here, see, this is Ursa Major. Of course, we know it, the asterism, as the Plough over in UK, or here in North America, the Big Dipper. Look how this points us to Arcturus. So this is the star Arcturus, and that's what we're actually tracking with this 11-inch RASA here in the observatory. It's great to have you with us tonight. My name is Doug, and we're here on the outskirts of Louisville, Kentucky. We gathered just a little bit early in hopes that we could get everything adjusted. Now what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to go outside the observatory for just a second, and I think the wireless mic should stay. Just going to go away from all those lights. I'm going to turn up the volume here for a second. Should stay. Just going to go away from all those lights. Yeah. Okay, so we're still picking up. What I am now, I'm out on the porch of the observatory, and there's Yasmin. I've been watching this guy from Mexico, and I saw 8 shooting stars. Not super impressive for an astronomer, I guess, but it's quite a lot for any normal night. You're right. 8 is actually pretty good. And there's Scott from Niagara, Canada as well. Good to have you aboard. We've actually got a couple of dozen of us on here if you want to tell where you're observing from. So I'm out here on the porch of the observatory so I can be away from the lights for a second. And just going to kind of let my eyes adjust. And I'm looking, it's pretty much straight up toward the zenith, so I can see Arcturus. And I mean, the sky is dark, isn't it? Because there's no moon, we're getting a really relatively dark sky. Of course, here in Louisville, we always have about Bortle 5, maybe Bortle 6 even, right there between Bortle 5 and Bortle 6. So I'm going to go in back in the observatory and put you back on the view of the sky. Let's give you back to the sky cam and let you see that live view, the same one I'm seeing from out here in front. I think I'm going to actually get a blanket out of the truck, and I'm going to just lay here for a minute on the porch of the observatory. Kind of got a little porch set up. I didn't know for sure what my setup would be, so I wasn't as smart as some of you guys. You're in your like lawn chairs. I think, who was it? Clear ambient skies with sun loungers. Now see, that's pretty smart. I should have brought mine, but I didn't. Here I came from the house and came to the observatory. It looks like Esma, you're observing from Eagle Mountain, Texas. And you're saying 5 stars to the night. Papa Tech, so sorry about the clouds there, Papa Tech. Matt, that's very kind of you, Matt, to cheer us on and say thanks for doing this. Yes, clear ambient skies. That was really the ticket. I have one of those. It's one of those gravity chairs, you know, and I should have brought that from the house, but I do have this blanket, so I'll just be thankful for that. I'm going to kind of fold it up here, and I'm going to spread it out here on the porch of the observatory. You know, I'm so thankful for the friends who said you should make a porch, and sure enough, I followed their advice. Pretty smart idea to follow their advice. Okay, I'm out here on the porch with you. There's Daniel Jose Podilla Peña. Is lagged the video? Oh, is that right? I'm going to go back in and check and see what's lagging, Daniel. Gracias por avisarnos. Vamos a ver lo que está pasando. No, I don't think the video would be lagging too much. I think you're seeing a live view here. This is our ASI-178 camera. It's on 1 second images. And so you're seeing a frame every second. And when there's a meteor, you'll see it as a trail, I hope. Has anybody seen anything yet? Not lag, 1 second exposures, right. Simon, not lagging here in Western Australia. Oh my goodness, you're clear down in Western Australia. Now, let me get my Australia geography in mind. Let's see. On the east side would be Sydney. So I'm trying to think on the west side, trying to think of what city you would be in. Would that be like, see if I can remember my geography. Boy, please forgive me if I'm wrong. Is that Perth? Is that the Perth side? That's pretty exciting, actually, that you're on from Western Australia. I'm just going to get a mapping program out here and just see where you might be. I'm just going to put in Western Australia. I'm going to try to figure out where you are. Yeah, Perth. Wow, that's exciting. Well, you'll have to tell us what town. Geraldton. You'll have to tell us what town you're near. Perth. How exciting. Oh my goodness, Azrae just saw one. Cindy, you are not from New Zealand, are you? That is phenomenal. Well, it's good to have you aboard. Mystical Skies, Suriname. Get out of town. You are not on here from all the way down in Suriname in South America. Close the setting window. Ah, now that is a brilliant idea. Why didn't I think of that? Wow, thank you so much. Who was that? Mystical Skies, Suriname. Boy, we just got to keep you around so you can help us in other moments too, because that was a brilliant idea. Quoque happy. Lots of clouds in Quebec. I'm so sorry to hear that. Yasmin, there were two things that seemed to be meteors. Gracias a Dios, if that's the case. Mystical Skies, Suriname. Now, you know, this just seems very improbable. I mean, I kind of know where Suriname is. You guys were settled, if I remember right, by a large contingent of Dutch and also some folks from over in parts of India came, right? Or do I have the right place? No, that's, yeah, the Dutch is correct, right? The Indians, that's Guyana, I bet. Let me see if I can get this straight. But it is such an honor to have you. See, South America, correct. Are we going to see this meteor shower tonight in New Zealand? I think there might be, yes. I think if I remember right, it is going to be visible in New Zealand as well, in your corresponding, but you know, yeah, I do remember that I heard it was going to be visible in South America as well. But how does that work? Because your night is reversed. So right now it's, isn't it like something like noon time for you? Aren't you like 12:30 in the midday? 100% right. Wow, that's a miracle. Priscilla from Dallas. You saw one 30 minutes ago. Matt, a few high clouds and lots of light pollution. So sorry. Quote copy, it is so exciting. Well, it would be exciting if it really turns into a storm, wouldn't it? But I tell you what, in a typical hour of observing, you can typically see around 60 meteors anyway. So that's one every 5 minutes on a typical night. If people would just go out and look up, we would typically see one meteor every 5 minutes if we have dark skies. Now, if you're in a city, then you might not see any at all in an hour. And so it really depends, doesn't it, on the sky that you have. Tylo says, will I be able to see it from British Columbia? The sun finally set. I'll be happy to see one. You know what? I was told, I'm not going to lie, Tylo. I was told that in Canada, it is a lot less of an impact there. And Kokapi, yes, shooting star is always exciting. Selene Garval, ¿para qué área en el cielo se mira? Estamos mirando en la dirección de la estrella Arcturus. No sé cómo se dice esto en español, pero sería Arcturus, más o menos, en la constelación de Botes. Gracias por preguntarnos. Roy Pérez Rivera, what a beautiful name. Pero qué nombre bello. Roy Pérez Rivera. Sí, español. Desde México. ¿De qué parte de México? ¿De parte central? Daniel now seems okay. Colombiano, no puede ser. De Colombia. So we got folks from Colombia and Suriname and Mexico. Cindy says it's 4:30 p.m. Wow, Maelstrom Maniac. You're so nice to encourage living in Okanagan area, the British Columbia. Ah, so you are from Colombia originally, but now you're living in Okanagan area. Hermosillo, Sonora. Selena, I think something is beautiful. Scottsy, who hit the SAP 9? Michoacan, Mexico. Wow. Michoacan. That's probably a pretty dark sky there. I'm looking at the screen the same as you. What do you guys think? Do you think you'd be able to see a meteor? I mean, you're actually seeing quite a lot of light pollution here, aren't you? I'm so sorry about that. Let me see if I can get us back. And let's look for a second. See if I can pin that for a moment. And how could we reduce? Let's try decreasing the gain to around 400. Now tell me how that looks for real. That might have reduced your light pollution, but tell me if you're still seeing the dark sky there. I want to make it right on that dividing line. Ferrell Ortega Cristian Raúl de Bolivia. ¿De qué parte de Bolivia? Qué interesante. Mystical Sky Suriname says that's better. And LSGTO from San Juan, Puerto Rico, in the beginning says that's better. I don't know if it's possible that we have 154 people now. If you don't mind, I know it takes a little bit of courage, but if you wouldn't mind, tell us where you're observing from. I just want to point out that you're seeing the night sky with me real time. You're looking through an ASI 178 monochrome camera. Now we do have, let me see if I still have that up. Here is a view through a, let me go back to the screen for a second so you can see. This is a view through the 11-inch RASA. And this is not very helpful, is it? Because we only see 2 degrees, but at least there you can see what it would look like if it were in the RASA. But I think it's better that we just look through the SkyCam, which gives you a 150-degree picture of the night sky. And so I think that's actually, now I am here in the observatory with you, so I don't know if you can see. I'm actually here in the observatory with you, and you've got this 11-inch telescope, but it's not very helpful, is it? Because what we want to do tonight is give you the entire sky. It looks like 184 people have joined us. You know, that just kind of blows me away because I don't even know what 184 people would be like. Ellis says it looks better. You're in Atlanta. Scott, you just saw two. That's fantastic. Eddie's from New Braunfels, Texas. And Truth and Learning, To Walk in It, is from Chandler, Arizona. I kind of know exactly where that is. It's kind of on the outskirts, isn't it, of Phoenix, kind of over to the east a little bit. Roy is from Lancaster, is living in Lancaster, California. Alexis, I probably just turned everybody's, let me try to do this. Alexis, what time is it? We'll see if we can turn everybody's Amazon Alexis on there. Alexis, it's good to have you. Alexis, it's good to have you on. That's so bad. Quocapi from Quebec. Fairy Girl from Kansas. Maite Calante Felix de Hermosillo, Sonora. Oh, see, that's the state, I bet, in Mexico. Sonora, maybe. Jose Avillanes from Lima. No puede ser. Pero mucho gusto conocerle. José, desde Lima, Perú. Aulu from North Carolina. Marcos from down in Chile. Comuna de Palmilla, con mucho frío. Lo siento mucho. Marcos says it's very cold down there in Palmilla, Chile. You might have dark skies. Podría ser que está muy oscuro en los cielos allá, Marcos. René is from Massachusetts. René La Scala. And Mason from up in Colorado in the mountains. Several flashes, Simon says. Wow, that would be great if there are actually some being captured here. That's only happening because you guys are tuning in with us. And remember, you're seeing exactly what I'm seeing in real time. This is not a recording of the sky. These are not time exposures. These are 1 second exposures. And by doing 1 second, we're hoping to catch the trail a little bit. It won't be a long trail, but however far we can see the meteor go in 1 second. American Doofus Channel, that's a very humorous channel. From East Central, so that would be along Interstate 70, I bet. Truth and Learning, my Cristian says, ¿Cuánto falta? How much are we missing? No sé. Ojalá que nada. Those are nice flags. That looks like maybe... Cristian, where are you? ¿De dónde eres, Cristian, por favor? Azray with the RASA 8-inch sharp cap SER file. You have a 1710 millisecond gain. 120 looks good. Nice. Monkey, so sorry it's cloudy there, Monkey. Jonathan, ¿a qué hora empieza? Más o menos en 20 minutos, se dice. They're saying in about 20 minutes it should start up. But who knows if that's exactly right? I mean, how do you time when a broken up comet starts hitting your atmosphere? I mean, that's just a wild guess. Pero se dice en 20 minutos más o menos. Monkey de Boise, Idaho. Good to meet you. Brandon from Dallas. Maelstrom just saw another one. Azray from Glendale, Arizona. Rock Bottom, front row seat in Ensenada, Baja California. You and your wife, my goodness, thank you for joining us. 252 people. I want you to know that until tonight, probably the most we had on a live stream was 40. So I just have to say, if you like content like this, please do hit subscribe. Por favor, hay que suscribir, por favor. Hay que suscribir, por favor, because we would love to have you back. Lance Man in West Monroe, Louisiana. Marianne, hello from Indiana. If you do like content like this, and it's totally up to you, please just hit that thumbs up. And maybe if you want to hit the notify, the notify button there, so you'll know when we're doing this. New Jersey in the eastern part. Franz Vidal from Santiago de Chile. Podría ser, hay mucha luz there in Santiago de la ciudad, ¿no? Ferrer, Ortega, Cristian, Raúl, saludos, Santa Cruz, Bolivia. Tiberius, when will we know the critical show or no-show decision? I remember hearing there's a small 20-minute window for a true peak. Thanks from Northeast Texas. The truth is, this thing can happen at any hour. I mean, what we're looking at here is the possibility of seeing tiny little sand-sized bits of a comet and the broken up ice bits of the comet. And we can predict that it might hit around 1 a.m., but nobody knows for sure. But more or less around 1 a.m. Clouds and some satellites, Friend says. Emily from Toronto. Ristine from Northeast Texas. Charles from Visalia. Lo de Chile. ¿Se ha visto algo? Salud de Valdivia. So nice to have you on. Es un gusto tenerles de Chile. Mary Ann Roberts from Denver, Indiana. You know, I didn't even know there was a Denver, Indiana. I only thought there was a Denver, Colorado. Now there goes, if you look carefully in the stream right now, that's probably some kind of satellite. See that little guy sneak across there? That could be an airplane, right? Real high up in the sky, but that does show you that you are seeing real time. Now I'm in a roll-off roof observatory. Yep, that's an airplane. I'm in a roll-off roof observatory, so I'm looking up there live and I'm seeing that. I think that's an airplane. Yeah, because I can see the wings on the lights on the wings. The good thing about being in a roll-off roof observatory is I'll be able to look up at the open sky with you, just like you're looking up. Denver, Indiana. Where would that be? Oh, 15 to 20 in Northwest Ohio. That sounds good. Can't find the Big Dipper there because of clouds. So sorry. Well, I hope you can find it on the live stream. See, here would be the Big Dipper. There it goes. See that little plane down there? Is that the same one we've been following across? Here's the open bowl, and there's the handle. My goodness, you can even see, what is that, Mizar? See that double star? If we're seeing that fine a detail in this camera, then we are, let me close this thing again, I remember all ago. If we're seeing that fine a detail, look at this little Mizar double star here. If we're able to see the double star Mizar, we are going to see some meteors here on the screen. But if you follow this handle all the way over, that's Arcturus. And that's the beginning of the constellation Borealis. And we should be able to see the meteors emanating from this part of the sky then. I hope you're able to see those. Please click on View in the top bar and see if full view is available. Well, now let's just check that out. Full screen. My goodness, how about that? How about that? Wow, that's a pretty good idea. Mystical Sky, Suriname. Soy yo, disculpe. Mi acento es italiano. Renee, you have an Italian accent. So this is La Scala. Soy yo, disculpe. Mi acento es italiano. Wow, it's good to have you aboard, Renee. Clear sky, but there's a skunk outside. You know, that's a really terrible way to encounter. I have a hard time understanding that we have 531 people on right now. This seems so impossible. 531 people? That's impossible. I'd like to invite you all to subscribe because we do live streams here about once a week. And we typically use the telescope that you see. Let me show you I won't stay on it very long. See if I can find my cursor again. Where did my cursor go? Well, I'm going to try it by doing it like that. That's the telescope we normally use. It's a RASA. It's 11-inch. And that's a live view of the inside of the observatory. In fact, here I am inside the observatory, and now I'm turning around and looking at my screen. Let's get you back to the sky cam so you can see the live view. We would love to have you subscribe. You just click that subscribe, and then if you want to click the thumbs up, if you enjoy content like this, by all means do that, and it won't cost you anything. Watching from Guatemala, being affected by Mexico's Agatha hurricane. I'm so sorry. Not only cloudy, but raining. Well, the good news is you can watch real time. And you know what? I think I saw one just then. Let me see if I can get my cursor. Right in this zone right there, I saw a streak across the sky. And the fact that we're recording these are 1 second images. That means you're going to see a bit of the stream. Concepción, no he visto nada aún. So sorry about that, Edgyware. From Alabama, friend. Zona de América del Sur, Paraguay. ¿Se podría ver? Yo pienso que sí. Me dijeron que sí, que iban a estar también en Sudamérica. Wow. Canon, Lucas, desde Chile. Bienvenido. Brandon from Fort Worth. Azray. Well, congrats, Azray, to you, because you're here regularly, like once a week, I think. Dallas, 1040. Yason in LA. Costa Rica. Maelstrom, that's very kind of you. You are very kind. Cassini. Maelstrom was just saying that he subscribed, and that would be amazing if he did that. Teresa Webb from West Virginia. Good to have you here. It is fun to watch together with 665 people. I just got to tell you, I wonder if I can just tell you, this seems so improbable that there would be 665 people watching this at once. That's impossible. I'm going to get us back here to the sky cam. Sarasota. Oh, I'm so sorry in Seattle. Now you're going to be sleepless. Isn't that where they filmed You've Got Mail? Sarasota, partly cloudy. Rats, so sorry. British Columbia. Saludos de Perú. Leo, mucho gusto conocerle. Mosquitoes are not helping. That's down in LSGTO. I think, were you LSGTO? You were down south somewhere. Think about it with a Q, Southeast Louisiana, hoping the clouds go soon. Justicia para todos. Saludos de Punta Arenas, Chile. Bueno, pero mucho gusto, encantado conocerles. Just found you. I'm here in Florida, Fort Lauderdale. Puebla, México. Se encuentra nublado. Lo siento mucho. Pero qué bárbaro. Qué cosa los. I just saw one. North Central Texas. Good. Cassini passenger. So you're riding on the Cassini. That'd be awesome. John Hughes from West Virginia. What happens if a Starlink train crosses the field of view? Well, you will see them. If a Starlink train comes across, you'll see something like 10 satellites all together coming across. Zodiac says there it is. He saw one. West Virginia. Time-lapse video would be great for this. Wow, you're right. Well, if we see this storm, then what we'll do is we'll crunch the entire live stream. Do we really have 770? Are there really 770 people in here? I don't even think I know 770 people, but now I know you. Pero gracias estar aquí con nosotros. Ustedes de Sudamérica, de Chile, de Paraguay, de todo. Encantado conocerles todos. Marianne Roberts from Hoosier. Try looking straight up. Hello from Not So Sunny Today, Sydney, Australia. Duncan, I'm hoping that tonight, when you have darkness there, that this will hit. But you know what? They had told us that it would hit around 1 a.m. I'm going to go outside of the observatory. And I'm going to lay down on a blanket I've got out there on the porch. So I'm out here on the porch with you guys. I'm going to lay down on a blanket here. I'm going to look up in the sky. And I'm going to see. It's not a storm so far, but now I did just see one over toward the south. So not emanating from Borealis actually, but more toward the south. Diana Pinal saw one like 20 minutes ago. Kurdi, I'm kind of behind reading. Let's see. Afterdrama's been looking for 3 hours. ¿A qué hora es? Va a pasar supuestamente a la 1 en la mañana en la zona del este in Norteamérica. Paratrooper Chad, another South Florida. Peak viewing time Florida, yeah, 12:44 to 1:17 a.m. Yep, peak time 1 a.m. Peak time just started. Be on the lookout. Hercules constellation almost south of Big Dipper. Right, Arcturus is supposed to be the main source. We're here in Louisville, Kentucky, on the outskirts. That's where Emerald Hill Skies is coming to you from. Intercosmic Aerospace. What a fascinating title. Wow. Holly just saw one from her sky in West Virginia. Intercosmics in Massachusetts. Where is north in the live stream? Okay, if you look over toward the right, you'll see the Big Dipper. And if you follow the stars on the pointer, see the pointers here. Follow those up. That would be the North Star. And you see this little airplane or satellite. That's an airplane. A very, very high airplane making its way toward the North Star. Look, this airplane is going to fly to the North Star. Anyway, I believe this would be the North Star here. That's a Little Dipper. So, going the opposite direction, here is Arcturus. So, the meteors are supposed to come from the center of your view. Remember, here's this northern crown. So it should be somewhere right in here, right here where we're centered. We're tracking the night sky on an iOptron CEM70G mount, and it's on top of a pier from Pier-Tech, a Pier-Tech 2. So that lifts it up high in this roll-off roof observatory. I'm wondering if I bring my cursor down here and just show you very quickly. There's the view of the observatory. And you can see how it's up on that Pier-Tech 2. Here's the camera like the one we're using, but actually the camera we're using is that camera on the front of the little equipment rack. And the RASA is that telescope you see there in that picture. But this is actually the live view of the observatory over there on the right, while you're looking at a live view of the sky. And here is a live view of me. My name's Doug, and welcome to the live stream. We're so happy that you joined us tonight. Let's go back. So here's the scope cam. So I'm waving to you there from behind me. Let's go back to the sky. Okay, supposedly, supuestamente, iban a empezar a la 1. Entonces, más o menos ahora. But you know, this is guesswork to say whether or not it would start at this time of day. My goodness, I've just scrolled down all these comments. Are there really 1,200 viewers? That would be like the craziest thing in the world. Rosalind, you do need a telescope, please. Michigan, wow. I bet it's cooler in Michigan. Tonight we have like 75 degrees here in Louisville. Boy, if you guys wouldn't mind subscribing, that would just be the most amazing thing. Let me tell you, even if you subscribed and then never came here again, it would still help a great deal. But if you subscribed and click thumbs up, it's not going to cost you anything, and wow, it would help. And I want you to know, we sell nothing on this channel. There's nothing for sale. We would just love to get electronically assisted astronomy out to more people. Entonces, si podrían suscribir, sería tan perfecto, no puedo decir tan perfecto que sería. Por favor, si es posible, por favor. Wow, Diana, thank you so much for subscribing. And then if you hit the thumbs up, it doesn't cost you anything, and what it does is it gets it higher in everybody else's algorithms so that they can see, and we do live streams once a week here at Emerald Hill Skies anyway. Saludos desde Perú. Mucho gusto. Gracias por venir. From Ecuador. Angela, did you really just subscribe? Thank you so much. You would be amazed because typically we'll have like 40 people in our live streams. It's crazy. It's crazy that there are this many people. Que ahora supuestamente iban a venir a la 1, pero no es ciertamente a la 1. Podría ser más o menos en la 1. So don't think that it has to hit right at 1 a.m. It's not like something that exact. Kimberly, thank you so much. Oh my goodness, Don. Oh my goodness, Rosalind. You guys are beyond belief. I didn't have any idea that there would be 1,400 people gathered together tonight to watch this. Spaced out. God bless you so much, spaced out. Buongiorno. Now that's got to be from Italy, right? Debbie, thank you so much. No han pasado. Es que no es un momento fijado. Es que más o menos esta noche, durante un tiempo de 20 o 30 minutos, vamos a ver este suceso, pero iban a pasar a la 1. Entonces it was going to happen around 1, but it could be 1:15. It could be, actually it could be 1:30. It's just the best guess from the astronomers was something around 1 a.m. Rutuzer, if everyone removes their likes and then adds them back at the same time, it'll drive a ton of traffic to the live stream. I've never heard anything like that. Top Flight, thanks so much. Wow, T. Williams thinks this is one of God's signs in the skies. That would be great. Eric, thanks so much. Spencer's talking about the Tennessee Vols winning the... This is not a basketball live stream. What are you talking about? Ya visto alguno. You know, we haven't seen very many yet, like the news media made it seem to be, have we? You guys are wild. Purple Kitten, thank you so much. Okanagan Valley, BC, thank you for joining us. British Columbia. Suprema is going to go check and see if the Addison Price from downtown Louisville. I'm going to step outside the observatory right now. I'm going to say Addison Price. Addison! I'm here on the outskirts of Louisville. Can you hear me? The like button won't come on. Okay, I must have missed this Vols championship. What in the world? Is there some other kind of championship that went on tonight and not basketball? Camera not as clear as it was earlier. Okay, let's go check that out. Let's go check that out. Yunsen is greeting us from Mars. That's awesome. 1,600 people not viewing now. You know, what happens is astronomers call it the seeing. And the seeing does vary based on atmospheric disturbance and all. And we do get, you know, noise just because of the ups and downs in seeing. I think all of these little pinpoints you see are... Oh, there goes one. Did you see that one? That was a fireball. And I am not making this up. It was right here, and it was flowing across there. Can you see my cursor on the screen, I hope? It was right here. And it was like a fireball. Let me get my cursor off. You know, whenever I say I'm going to get my cursor off, it always makes me feel like I shouldn't have ever cursed in the first place. Again, to locate these, this is the open bowl of the Big Dipper, Ursa Major. And then there's a handle here, and if you arc along that handle to Arcturus... Oh, there's one! Did you see that? There was one there! I'm sorry to be so excited, but I think it's really cool to see these through a electronically assisted astronomy. You know, when we talk about EAA, electronically assisted astronomy, what we're talking about is we're using a camera in place of the eyepiece. And so tonight we have this 11-inch RASA that is here, and that 11-inch RASA, normally you would look through some kind of eyepiece through an 11-inch telescope, and we use here at Emerald Hill Skies, we use a camera instead of the eyepiece. So tonight, watching these meteors, it's pretty much the same. We're just using the camera to view the night sky. So I'm going to keep on watching here. I did see a flicker right here. I'm going to look down at the stream again. My goodness, we have 2,000 people viewing. Alex, you told me. I should have listened to you. Kimberly, I wish I may, I wish I might. Thanks for sharing tonight. Don, you're so kind. Idaho. Auntie is in Uranus. That's awesome. You know, we've seen at least 3, but it's just because I catch some now and then. I'm looking down at the stream. Aaron McCormick, welcome from here in Louisville. I'm going to go shout to you, Aaron. California. Somebody wants to do bets. ¿A qué hora va a pasar? Más o menos ahora. Ahora mismo. Clouds just rolled in Houston. New Jersey, only seen 1. Magnetic Reversal News. What a great name. You are so kind to encourage. William, where can I go donate? You know what? We just basically don't take donations. That's nice of you to ask, but I'm just afraid that that maybe makes it seem like I'm in it for the wrong reason. So you know what? We just don't do it. Oh, there went one right here. We just don't do donations. Now, the fact that those are so short, those are so short, I wonder if we should increase the exposure to maybe 2 seconds. We're at 1 second now, but these trails are kind of short. Let's increase to 2 seconds and see if we can make those trails longer. Now you guys will have to tell me, did that help or hurt? We could also reduce the gain since we increase exposures. We could take the gain down to like, what, 320 maybe. I'm looking to see if you guys are going to tell me if that helped. Jonathan says that helps. Yep, Bethany says helped. Okay. So what we did is we increased the time exposure length so that the trail of the meteor will be longer. And at 2 seconds, it's still going to let you see a picture every 2 seconds, and most of these meteors should have a trail that we'll be able to pick up, I think. Emerald Hill skies, it's probably because when they're moving so slowly, they aren't as bright when they enter the atmosphere. Yep, I think you're right, Sorprema. Kimberly says, yes, helps. Dieltrono says, nice. I Got Wrench List says, helps a lot. What direction do I look? Well, if you're out in the nighttime sky, you look up toward, find the Big Dipper in the north. And when you see the Big Dipper, then you're looking at the very same thing we are here, see? Here's the Big Dipper. And then you just follow that handle and look across here to this bright star called Arcturus. And the way astronomers remember that when we're memorizing constellations is arc to Arcturus. And that gets you to this star right here. It's in the constellation Borealis. And this is supposed to be where it's emanating from. So that's why we kind of have that in the center of things. Okay, I'm looking here at our mount. It looks like our mount is doing fine. The mount is tracking with the nighttime sky, see? So the mount is moving the view along with the stars. Just as we see the stars kind of glide across the nighttime sky, we've got the mount moving with those stars, so we keep this in view. From Huaca, Colombia, you've seen a few. Mafe Ramirez, tiny and short. In West Texas, you would look in the very same place. I can't believe we have 2,500 people viewing right now. This seems so improbable. I'm just a guy with an 11-inch telescope on the edge of Louisville, and 2,600 people have stopped by to watch this with us tonight, and that is so neat. I just want to draw attention to one little thing. If you look really closely here in, see if I can find my cursor again. Oh, there's my cursor. I've got two screens going here. See how you can see a double star right there where my cursor is? I hope you can see my cursor. Right there. That shows the high resolution you're seeing, because I understand you have to have 20/20 vision to see that. That's my SAR. And the fact that we're seeing that means we're seeing pretty high res here. While we're looking, we might just want to look and see some of the other constellations here in the nighttime sky. And that way, if you're outside looking with us, you can kind of find these in when you get a chance to look at the sky and other times again. First of all, remember, a lot of people, we start out with the Big Dipper. So here's the bowl of the Big Dipper. And then we follow this handle over to Arcturus. Now tonight, these meteors are supposed to emanate from this place, this same meteor shower. And then if you follow this line of stars out here, see how this kind of makes almost like a, what? The shape of a club, of a stereotypical cartoon caveman, or maybe a kite. Can you make out the kite here? Or maybe an ice cream cone. Think of it as an ice cream cone, and here's the top of the ice cream cone. That's Borealis. And if you can see Borealis there, you can see the place where these are emanating from. Arcturus is the bottom of the ice cream cone, right there. Now, if you can look up here, you can see a thing that looks kind of like, what does that look like? A satellite dish? But the early astronomers thought of that as a kind of crown, like a tiara. And so they called it Corona Borealis. Corona Borealis. And that would be called the northern crown, Corona Borealis. And again, when you're looking here, you're looking directly in the direction that these meteors are supposed to emanate from tonight, from which these meteors should emanate. Now, if you keep on working your way up from Corona Borealis, you'll find a part of the sky that's often called some people call it the keystone. See how it's got a narrower part of the stone here and a broader part of the stone there? Well, that's the constellation Hercules, and he's supposed to be like the early guy that has a club in his hand, and this is supposed to be his club up here, and he's supposed to be this ancient hunter, supposedly. Well, right now, this is pretty much straight up. This would be the zenith right here, pretty much straight up. But it's interesting that right here in this constellation of Hercules, there's a famous cluster called the Hercules Cluster, and you can almost see that with your naked eye. It's so big. You guys in the southern sky, you have another cluster down there. What's it called? Oh, rats. I don't ever get to see it because it doesn't show up in the northern. Somebody tell us what. I'm going to go back to the live stream. I'm going to find the live stream. Somebody tell us, what is that big cluster called down in the southern sky? No cursor. That's sad. Why would that be? Well, that's just enough to make us cursors, huh? What a bummer. So how would I get that? Let's see. We're seeing the sky cam there. Why would you not have the cursor here? There's the webcam. So there's Doug. Here's the scope cam. So that's showing you the scope. There's the sky cam. Oh, I bet it's because... I see. What about now? Do you have a cursor now? There we go. I'm so sorry. Sorry about that. I bet you didn't have a cursor because I had it on the camera, not the screen. You guys are large Magellanic Cloud. That is a big, but there's a special globular cluster down there. What is it called? Somebody remind me. It's like the most giant cluster in all the night sky. And Omega Centauri. Thank you so much, Simon. You saved me. I was feeling pretty crazy. But it's because I don't ever see the night sky in the south of the hemisphere, the southern hemisphere. Anyway, let's start again here real quick. I'm going to try to walk through this real fast. Here's the Big Dipper. Open bowl, handle, arc around the handle to Arcturus. Follow Arcturus up here in the shape of kind of like a kite or a caveman club or an ice cream cone. Here's the top of the ice cream cone, and there's Arcturus. And this giant meteor storm is supposed to come from here in the middle of this area. Boy, you can just almost imagine them. I should have like animated some so that if they didn't show up, we could have played them for you, right? But I didn't do that. I'm looking. I'm not seeing very many meteors. Anyway, if you go on up, you see a little crown here that looks like a little bit of a satellite dish or something. That's Corona Borealis. And Corona Borealis is interesting because Corona Borealis kind of shows us the part of the sky tonight where we're seeing the zenith. If you follow this, satellite dish right here where it's projecting, right now that is straight up in the nighttime sky for orientation. And then a little bit over here is this keystone looking thing. It looks like maybe a trapezoid that you would drop in at the top of a door arch in an ancient Roman doorway. Well, that keystone is your clue that you found the constellation Hercules. And what? This would be like, what? One of his legs, right? And this would be one of his legs, right? I think that's one of his legs there. And then what? This would be, what? One of his arms. And he's got like a voleador or whatever. He's going to throw a slingshot, or he's got a club in his arm or something like that. I don't know. Anyway, right here is that Hercules cluster, which is the largest one that we see in our nighttime sky. But I was just saying, you guys in the south, you see, really, to be honest, you see the biggest cluster of all, Omega Centauri. Let me go back to the live stream now. And there's no way it's up to 3,000 people. This has got to be a figment of my imagination, honestly. This is not happening. So let's just decide right now, there's no way. I would love to invite you guys to subscribe, because I tell you what, even if you don't ever come back again, just the fact that you subscribe, it does push it up in the algorithms. And then, if you were able, just by God's grace, I'm just saying it, I'm going to take off my hat. If you saw me right now in the webcam, you'll see that I have my hat off, kind of bowing down. If you would be so kind, now how do I get back so you can see my cursor again? If you would be so kind as to be able to hit the thumbs up, that would be amazing. Actually, you can see me over here, can't you? Over here to the right. If you would be so kind as to subscribe and then hit the thumbs up, then that gets this channel up in everybody else's view. We don't take donations, so don't even worry about that. That would be really nice of you. And if you want to be notified, there's even a bell. And if you clicked on that bell, then when we do live streams like this, then it would notify you. But I understand if you don't want to do that, so don't feel any pressure. But it is. Some of you guys are really being nice. Wow. You guys are wild. I can't believe all the people are saying they're subscribing. Oh, I'm so sorry about the audio. You know, the truth is, I'm operating out here in the observatory tonight, and I'm just going to be totally honest with you. When I set up the mic, I was kind of in a hurry, and you're right, I couldn't figure out how to make it higher audio, so I'm sorry it's low. On the other hand, the good news is I'm at least not screaming in your ear, right? So I have it turned up all the way. And on the little audio processor, I have it turned up all the way there. I'm using the new DJI wireless mic. And I actually have it turned, I have the gain, I'm going to go over here and make sure, yeah, the gain is all the way up there. It's coming through really well on the receiver here. So I am so sorry, but I will tell you this. In a normal live stream that we do, I operate from inside a building that's about 200 feet from here. And there's actually fiber optic cable. You think I'm making this up, right? There's actually fiber optic cable between the observatory and the building. And I can tell you that when I'm inside that building, it is really nice. Oh, there goes one. Did you see that? Right here, I saw one. The trail was really obvious. When I'm in that building, the microphone is so much better. I could actually just take this microphone off and hold it closer to my mouth, and I would do that with you guys just because I feel bad. 3,500 people watching right now. You like the part when the stars are on the screen? Yeah, I think that's true. Now, Stephen, I know you're saying it's a bust, but it really isn't completely a bust. It actually, anytime you get out and see the night sky, it's a success. So in a way, you could say this is a success. You know, Florence, Alabama, a crick in your neck. and all you've seen are lightning bugs. Lana from Brazil, so you would speak Portuguese. I wish I spoke Portuguese so much. Puedo hablar español más o menos, pero no puedo ni siquiera hablar ni siquiera una palabra en portugués. Lo siento. 3,621. What part of the U.S. is this happening? Well, if it's going to happen, we would all see it. Because what you've got is a comet that's left over from a comet that actually broke up. What was it, back in the 90s or something? And when that comet broke up, it created this great big bunch of particles that travel together through the solar system. And the odds of our Earth going through that trail of comet dust and comet particles, it's so slender that we would ever have done that. But astronomers calculated that we would get really close to that comet trail. If there was ever going to be a time, it would be during this 20-minute segment right around now. So in a way, you stop and think about the odds. It's like taking a gun and trying to shoot somebody else shooting a bullet, and you're trying to shoot his bullet at the same time. Now over here, there's a very slow meteor creeping across the sky. No, I'm really just joking with you. That would be something like an airplane. In fact, I'm going to go outside of the observatory. I'm going to look up there and look at that. And sure enough, that's an airplane. But while I'm out here, I'm going to look up and I'm going to look for this storm. There's just not a lot of storm yet, is there? So I understand why people are disappointed, but I tell you, if you'll check out other things on the Emerald Hill Skies channel, I have like, no kidding, I'm not exaggerating, I have like 200 videos or something there. And every video is a video of a different object in the nighttime sky through this 11-inch telescope. And I would be so thankful and honored if you were to do that. And that way you'll see, some of them are 5 minutes long and I just do one object. And other nights, once a week, I try to do a 2-hour live stream. And we're looking through the actual 11-inch telescope on that night. And I'm inside and there are no mosquitoes. Or in the wintertime, I do it all the way through the winter. In the coldest parts of the winter and the hottest parts of summer, because I'm always inside in my office. And this telescope is out here doing its thing. And I think I've already shown you guys the telescope. Let me just show you that real quick. The telescope looks like that. So that's where I am inside the observatory. In fact, I can show you a real-time view of me inside the observatory right now. So this is where the telescope sits, always right here, but I'm in a building about 200 feet away, and normally we're actually looking at deep space objects like nebulae and galaxies and a bunch of fun stuff like that that are always up there every night. So I'm really thankful that 3,800 people have stopped by. Alex says he just saw one. Okay, I'm going to start watching a little more closely here. Getting involved in all these shenanigans, and I'm missing some of these you guys are seeing. That's crazy. Okay, so tell me, I'm going to start watching. I'm going to hold my phone so I can see the stream. What direction will the meteors be going? Well, they'll be going in all directions, but they'll be emanating from this part of the sky right here. Somewhere in this part of the sky, pretty much right in the middle of where we have this ZWO ASI2600MC monochrome camera aimed. We have it with the 150-degree lens on it. So you're seeing about a 150-degree section of the nighttime sky with this camera. El Paso, all these people from all around the world, 3,900 people. Actually, it is focused It is focused, but what you're seeing is just random light pollution noise. We did focus this right before the live stream. I'm so sorry about your neck. If some people are viewing from Area 51, they say. 4,000 people. Is this possible? Are there really 4,000 people here? Because in my live streams normally, I'm lucky to have 7. if you're here tonight and you're a regular person on the channel, your head is spinning because typically I'll have 7 people, and I know them all by name. I'm not kidding. I know every one of them by name. Let's see. There are so many comments. I don't know if I can read. Somebody just said, yes, it's possible. That's doing Hawaii. These are going by so fast. 4,300 people? What in the world? Okay, so let me start over again. My name is Doug, and welcome. We're here on the edge of Louisville, Kentucky, in a very unlikely night where there's supposed to be this meteor storm of meteors coming from this part of the nighttime. Oh, did you see that? That was one. Right there. We just saw one, guys. And it looked pretty impressive. I mean, it was not a little thin trail of a thing. It was a pretty thick fireball-looking meteor. Anyway, I'm sorry, I just had to stop and realize, whoa, this really worked. What we've done is we're using our RASA 11 telescope that's on top of a Pier-Tech Adjustable-Height pier. And it's on a iOptron CEM70G mount. And we're rotating the scope with the stars as they glide across the sky in the night so that we keep this view aimed in the direction that the meteors from which they should emanate. And you guys know what this is. It's basically a comet that broke into pieces and kept traveling together. So now all these particles are flying across the sky together, and they're orbiting around the sun, and so is the Earth. And there's just like this minuscule 1 in a million chance that our orbit would take us through the trail of that series of debris. We're basically, the Earth is going through a debris field. Now, we don't have to be nervous about this. There's not going to be an end of time dinosaur killing event. They already died. Instead, these are tiny things the size of a pebble or the size of a grain of sand. But because when they come into the atmosphere, much like when SpaceX capsules come back in and they get, hotter, those little grains of sand get hotter, we can actually see a trail from the grain of sand when they come through the sky. And that trail, see, I just saw one up here at the top, that trail ends up, whoa, that's weird. My mouse just caught. Okay, I'm going to have to work on this because my hand is a little bit sweaty and it caught the mouse and it moved the screen off the screen in OBS. You guys who are gamers, you know OBS, and so I'm actually using OBS for this live stream. Anyway, those little grains of sand, those little pebble-sized things, little frozen ice particles, when they enter the sky, they enter that same atmosphere and they heat up. And what you're seeing is the trail of that heat. Now, I'm using the word "what you're seeing" somewhat liberally, aren't I? Because we're not seeing a lot of that. Do we really have 4,800 people together here? I just have to stop for a second. And I'm just going to look at that and say, did this really happen? Emerald Hill Skies typically has 7 people on a typical live stream. If it's a big live stream, like the biggest live stream we've ever had in the history of the entire universe, 40 is the record. 40. You think I'm making this up, but I am not making this up. 40 people. And somehow tonight, 4,800 people have come together to look up at a sky full of stars that are beautiful just in and of themselves. They're beautiful in and of themselves. And among all these stars, isn't it cool that there might be this storm of meteors? Now, I would love to show you some of the other things that we could look at through the RASA, and we do have our, let me show you, how can I show you this? If I show you that, are you seeing that? That's the view through our 11-inch scope. So this is actually very, very, this is just a 2-degree wide field that you're seeing here, whereas this is 150 degrees wide. So I would love to show you some galaxies and nebulae, and it is untold what we could show you. But while that was happening, if the meteors started, I would never forgive myself. So I kind of feel like we need to keep our view on this just in case. But if it is true that there are 4,800 people, then I gotta say thank you. And if you would be so kind as to click the subscribe button, if you wouldn't mind that, if you could click the subscribe button, it would be amazing, because then it would get this channel up in other people's algorithms, and they would see it when they searched for all things astronomy. And we use a particular kind of astronomy all the time, every time we observe, called electronically-assisted astronomy. So everything we're looking at is always live. Now tonight we're looking at a place in the sky where we think meteors would come from, but on another night we might look at clusters and galaxies. And on the channel, emeraldhillskies.com, and also at YouTube, in this channel you'll see, we have a couple of 100 videos of things that we've done like this before. So you can go there and look at the other objects we've done. And I want you to know something. I just want to be honest with you. I'm telling you the truth. I am a fellow learner, just like you, in astronomy and all things about the sky. I'm just a fellow struggler like you. Yeah, by God's grace, I got ahead of the game, and people were nice, and everything worked out that I could get an 11-inch telescope. That's the only thing that separates me from you, and maybe a year and a half of practice. So other than that, I am just like you, and it would be great to have you come back. So please click the subscribe button. It's not going to cost you anything. If you hit the thumbs up or that notification bell, it doesn't cost you anything. And if you are annoyed later because you're getting notifications about Emerald Hill Skies, you can always unsubscribe if you like. but it would be great if you wouldn't mind that, stopping by. Now, I just see Golly just subscribed. Carolyn just subscribed. That's amazing. The keystone. Okay, so let's do that real quick. Here's, are you seeing this? Yes. Here's the bowl of the Big Dipper. Here's the handle of the Big Dipper, which is a part of, it's an asterism in the constellation of Ursa Major. Follow that handle over to the first bright star, Arc to Arcturus, and you'll see Arcturus here. Then look how you can see a constellation here that, to me, it looks like the asterism. And an asterism, it just means it's a shape that we recognize. To me, this looks like the asterism of an ice cream cone or a stereotypical club of a caveman. And once you see that asterism, that's your clue that you're getting up toward Corona Borealis here, this northern crown. And it's sort of like a satellite dish. It looks in the direction of the keystone. And here is that keystone asterism. And it's in the middle of the constellation Hercules, so right here is the Hercules the giant Hercules cluster. The globular cluster Hercules is the biggest globular cluster in the northern sky. Doesn't hold a candle to Omega Centauri in the southern sky, but at least it's the biggest in the northern. So this would be Hercules, the hunter. man, I feel like we should go look at something else since these are not. How about if I just ask you guys, would you rather go look at something through the big scope now so that you can see something tonight and you won't have just, you won't have gone without seeing something, right? Or would you rather stay here in case this meteor storm happens? You guys get to decide, because to me, I'm fine just staying here. I see a couple of people saying sure, and a couple of people saying big scope. Yes, we're on the outskirts of Louisville, Kentucky. But a couple of people say we should stay on the storm. And a couple of people are saying stay, please. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to err on the side of the people who are saying stay. And I'll tell you why we're doing that. Because every single live stream we do, we go see amazing things in the nighttime sky. For example, recently we were looking at a Messier object, and we zoomed in close enough on that Messier object that we were seeing something that looked like a kind of spur off the side of it. And I had to say that spur looked unique. And one of the guys that was observing with me by being on the YouTube stream, just like you guys are, he said, Doug, that is the like neutron stream kind of thing that's coming out of that galaxy, and it's shooting out into the sky. And sure enough, when I looked up this object, sure enough, that stream was seen by the Hubble Space Telescope in a grand way. But through this, and I'm just going to call it a meager 11-inch scope, we were able to see that spur so that we knew it was there. Just 2 nights ago, or maybe it was 1 night ago, we were doing a live stream of a planetary nebula, and as we were looking at that planetary nebula, I remarked, doesn't it look like it's spewing out like a whole foam of stuff out one end, and a giant foam of stuff out the other end, like as if it would be throwing it out of its poles. And sure enough, when I looked it up in the Hubble view, there were those streams that line up with the magnetic poles of that planetary nebula. And we could see that through this 11-inch scope. So I think we should err on the side tonight and just leave it aimed at where the meteors are going to be, because in case we can see them tonight, that's kind of like the special thing. But I'd like to invite you to look at those videos we've already done, and also to come back and look at the live streams, because we do these live. This is not some kind of astrophotography thing where we do a 7-hour time exposure, and then we go into a dark room or in a Photoshop, program, and for 7 hours we sort of like, I don't know, process the image in a way that it really didn't look like it, did in the night sky. We do realistic pictures, real time, and you are looking at it through the 11-inch telescope at the same time I am. And that's why it would be amazing if you come back, because you become the observer with me. And you can even say, Doug, I would like to see the Andromeda Galaxy. Or, Doug, is there any way, please, you could show us the Pleiades? I'd really love to see the Pleiades through this telescope. Or maybe you'd rather say, Doug, I would like to see that emission from that planetary nebula. And you know what? As we began to look at that emission, I began to see that the stuff that had been emitted was kind of trailing behind the rotation of the planetary nebula. And it almost looked like a propeller on a motorboat. And sure enough, when you looked it up, you realized that planetary nebula is spinning pretty fast. And we could see that the effect of the, oh, did you see that? It was beautiful, and it was right up here. It was a fireball. I gotta watch my finger because it's kind of, we're at 75 degrees here, and it's kind of like warm. Maybe it's warm because there are 4,500 people viewing this at the same time. Maybe that's why my finger is kind of sweaty. So on my trackpad, on my mouse here, Now that is probably a very slow-moving 767 operating at about what? How high do those planes go? I'm going to look on the live stream. Somebody tell me how high those go. Is a 767, would that be at like 40,000 feet? El Pinchimiento 255 said she'd like to see a meteor. Sweaty fingers. Yeah, this is the most viral. I mean, there's no way I can say how viral this is because the most people I've ever had on a live stream before is like 7. I think when we did the Messier Marathon in March, when we had maybe, what, 10 guys participating on the same Zoom and we live streamed it, I think we got up to 40 people. And I think it was everybody's wife and sister, and that was it. You think that might be a satellite? You think, is it moving so slowly? I'm looking up in the sky. I'm seeing. Oh, I see it. It's an airplane because I can see the wings, and I can see lights on the wings. So that is an airplane. Maybe you're seeing that. So don't blame this one on Elon. Blame Elon for all those Starlink trains that go across the night sky. But this is not Elon's fault. This is somebody's fault because they wanted to go to LA or something, you know. Oh, that is so nice of you to subscribe. Let me tell you, we don't accept donations here, partly because we don't want you to think that we're in this for the money. We just do this for the fun of it. And we love it when you stop by. So this is not about the money. So you can't go somewhere and give to this. This is about getting together and looking at events like this and looking at, you know, actual objects. Now, you might wonder, well, what am I doing? Well, I'm sitting here right beside the telescope with you. And there is a view. Let me see if I can get down there without scraping something off of the... So I'm sitting right here. I'm right here with you. And the stuff that I'm seeing on this screen is the very same thing that you're seeing. Let me see if I can show you in some way. I'm going to pull this, turn this. Can you see that? That's my screen. So I'm seeing a screen just like you are. And we're all in this together. So, but back to the meteors, right? The reason we came here is for the meteors, not to see the... Anyway, I'm right here with you. And this is what the kind of astronomy we do. There's no eyepiece on this telescope. So there's not some single file line where everybody comes up one after another and stands in a row and somebody accidentally bumps the telescope and now we have to go find the object again. That's not the kind of telescope this is. This telescope always operates with a screen. And we always show you that screen live. And we also record it so you can go back and watch it on YouTube. And that kind of astronomy is really cool because what we do is we stack those frames as we're watching. Kind of like on your phone, if you've heard of HDR, that's not some kind of president or something. That's like, what is that called? High definition something. Now this might actually be a satellite. I'm going to go look at that. I'm going to go outside the observatory and take a look at that. That might be a satellite. Because see, we're not seeing any lights on the wings of that. Boy, it's beautiful, isn't it? I mean, it's just beautiful. There are, even here on the outskirts of Louisville, there are hundreds and hundreds of stars because it's so moonless tonight. There's no moon that's obscuring this. And the air smells so fresh. This is beautiful. And there went a bat. And I can hear the crickets and the frogs down there by the pond here at Emerald Hills. I'm just thinking, this is gorgeous. And how could this have happened by accident? That's what I got to ask. Is there any chance that you and I are together tonight with 4,000 other people and that there's a frog down there at that pond, that somehow our eyes, now think about this starlight that we're seeing. These stars that we're looking at are like 2,000 and sometimes 25,000 light years away. I mean, they're far. And then also here at Emerald Hill Skies, we look at, and there's a firefly going by. We look at galaxies that are like millions of light years away, even light traveling at the speed of light, 186,000 miles a second. And it travels all this distance. There's so much space. And then think, when those photons hit our sensor on our camera, that journey ended for those photons. It stopped. And if you're looking up in the sky tonight like I am, standing outside the observatory here, and I'm looking right now at that handle of the Big Dipper, the same as you, if you're looking at those out under the sky, maybe in a reclining lawn chair or something, those photons have been speeding toward your eyes for years. Years. And when they hit your eyes, they stopped. And you captured them. And nobody's ever going to see those photons again. I just saw a meteor. Nobody's ever going to see those photons again. And to me, the odds of this happening by accident, I tell you what, that takes as much faith as believing that there is someone who made this. It takes as much faith for me to think that this all happened by accident as it takes for me to think that maybe there is a creator. So I'm all in on the whole creator thing. This is too beautiful. I'm looking up at the sky and I'm seeing, I think that there are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of stars here. And if we were just a little bit darker, there would be a couple of thousand stars here. A couple of thousand stars visible in this hemisphere. This is beautiful. Well, I'm going to go in and I'm going to make sure that you guys are still on board. Back in the observatory, looking at this live stream. We're at 4.8 thousand. Laying on a cot. You need moderators. Shame that some people think this is going by so fast. Somebody said instead of God is love, they said dog is love. You guys are nuts. People saying I'm insecure. You know, I am insecure in some ways. I mean, I'm insecure because the most I've ever had in a live stream is 7 people. No, I think we did have 40 at that Messier Marathon. Of course I'm insecure. Aren't we all insecure? But that doesn't change the fact that when I look up at the sky and I see these amazing things, I think, how did that happen? How did that just pop into existence? And let's suppose it did start with a Big Bang. Okay, let's just for a second, let's suspend all, and let's say everything started with a Big Bang. Okay, let's go into it, because it looks like it did. If you look up in the sky, it looks like it did. Where did the thimble full of material come that banged? Where did that material come from? Before the Big Bang, you see. Well, you know, there were clouds floating there. Well, where did the clouds come from? Well, they just accumulated over time. Well, what were the materials that caused them to accumulate? And I keep thinking, somebody somewhere has to eventually get to some kind of a first cause. So I'm just thinking, there's got to be a first cause. Okay, let's look for meteors for a while. But I just get to thinking about this because I see these objects. And I think, this is so improbable that this happened by accident. 4.5 thousand people all over the world. This is crazy. I would invite you to subscribe if you haven't done so, because we do content like this, and we come back and do this with a camera lens, with a camera hooked to our 11-inch telescope, this Roe Ackerman Schmidt astrograph, and it is really a fast telescope. It has a focal ratio of f2, so it is really good at drinking in the light. And then we stack those frames real time so that you're able to see the result of the stacked view, and within 3 or 4 minutes, you're seeing stuff that you would never see through an eyepiece. So we'd love to invite you back. If you want to hit subscribe or hit that bell for notification. Okay, let's just take stock here for a second. It's about 1:52 a.m. here Eastern time. So we're about 1 hour after the fact. So I know what some of you are thinking. You're thinking, what happened to the firestorm? It didn't happen. Well, it didn't exactly like we thought it would. But there were some pretty cool fireballs, weren't there? And you guys have seen them. You've seen some of these fireballs come by, and that's cool. And like it or not, those are the remains of this comet. They were just out a little farther. And so maybe the particles are still on their way, and it still might come. Or maybe some gravitational pull from some, who knows what, the moon caused those particles to veer a little bit off the course they were on. Maybe somebody calculated and just hoped for the best. I don't know why we haven't seen these meteors in this storm, but I can tell you this much. We've seen some beautiful night sky, that's for sure. And I'm thinking, here's what let's do. Let's stay on for another, say, 30 minutes. Let's give it 30 more minutes, and if it hasn't happened by 2:30 Eastern, let's call it for everybody's sake, because you guys have been kind enough to be on here. Now, see, that's what I'd like to do. Hayfield, can we look at, you wanted to go look at M13. I think that would be a great idea. But if we pulled off of this and then the meteor storm happened, you know what I'm going to be remembered as? I'm going to be remembered as the guy who quit too soon. And that is so against my nature. So I don't want to do that. I don't want to be a quitter. So let's hold on for another half an hour. And then at 2:30, let's go see something. Let's go see a nebula or a galaxy, something big in the night sky with this 11-inch scope. But let's hang on for 30 minutes more. How about that? Boy, there were quite a bit of folks who got onto a discussion about scriptures there, right? And I guess I got into that because I was on my soliloquy there about the, the sky. But to me, I guess it does go together. But boy, if you are not expecting me to get into that, it's because I looked up and I saw all that beauty. And I don't know, it just caused me to get into this kind of soliloquy about how did this happen, But I know a lot of astronomers who probably aren't fond of thinking that God made this, and so I know there are other explanations, and I'm not trying to force you to ask the questions I'm asking. I'm just saying this is a question that bothers me. How could this have happened? So I'm more or less just saying to you, this is a pursuit that I'm in, and I have been all my life. How could it be? So that was my question. I'm not trying to force anything on anybody. I don't believe in that, But I'm thinking, okay, for there to have been something, there had to be something, because you don't ever get something from absolutely nothing, because nothing ever comes from nothing. The only thing you get a something from is if there was a something. So if you're going to accept that there was a something, then why couldn't that something have been God? I guess if you're going to be like some atheist, why couldn't that something have been God? That was just my question. But let's don't dwell on that. Let's go back to the stars again. What do you say we look at maybe a couple of other constellations, and that way during these minutes we're kind of using our time wisely to, not that we weren't before by asking those questions, but I don't want to like cause people to, anyway, have any kind of reaction or anything. What if we review again? You guys talk me through it this time. I'm going to mark down here, what is this the bowl of? What's that the bowl of? The Big Dipper, right? And it's an asterism. Remember what an asterism is? It's a shape within a constellation, and this shape is typically known as the Big Dipper. If you follow the handle out through outer space here in an arc, you can remember that because it arcs to Arcturus. This is the star Arcturus. Now, if you follow these pointer stars over in this direction, you get to the Little Dipper and you go to Polaris, which is the North Star. Now, I think, if I'm not mistaken, but there's a lot of light pollution there. That's the city lights of Louisville, but isn't that the Little Dipper? So that should be the North Star, but there's so much light pollution, it's hard to say. Anyway, Arcturus. It's like the, what is Arcturus? Somebody help me out. Somebody who's an astronomer. It's like the fourth brightest star in the sky, isn't it? I mean, it's huge and bright. So you'll always be able to find Arcturus if you can find the Big Dipper, and then review with me. When you go out this way, what are you seeing? This is that asterism that looks like a club or a kite. See the kite shape? It reminds me of an ice cream cone because I just love ice cream cones. And my wife loves ice cream cones. My wife loves ice cream cones. So anyway, that's what that reminds me of. And that constellation is called Bootes. Bootes. And if you follow Bootes up and kind of veer off farther in the direction, away from the Big Dipper, then you get to this little crown. Remember what that's called? Somebody shout it out. Aurora Borealis. Aurora Borealis. And that kind of means northern crown, I think. And it's sort of in a shape of a satellite dish. Remember, if you follow the satellite dish out in this direction, you can see this keystone asterism, which is the middle of Hercules. And these are his kneecaps. And somewhere here is one of his feet. Somewhere here is another foot. This is his big, Hercules chest. And this is his, look, you can see his arm. And look, this is his voleador thing. He's not using a slingshot like we have in North America with the forked stick. He's using a slingshot that he's slinging around in a circle like David did when he hit Goliath with that stone. And see, look, you can see his slingshot animated as it swings. And this is his other arm. He's got it out for balance. Well, that's Hercules. And right here in the middle of Hercules, in the middle of that, those two stars of that keystone, that's that giant cluster, the Hercules Cluster. And you know what? Next live stream, we'll have to come and see the Hercules Cluster. And now let me go back and get back to the comments so I can see what you guys are saying. Okay. Navajo Reservation. Hercules, Hercules, somebody wrote. So you guys were with me on this. Somebody wants to see the Andromeda Galaxy. Corona Borealis, somebody shouted out. You guys got this. Donut Shower. Donut Shower. Corona Borealis, somebody shouted out. Qué buenas imágenes hechas por computadora. Les quedaron muy bien. Pero muy amable, Iván García. Mucho gusto, Iván. Kim has been counting, and Kim says that she has seen 10 meteors since 10 p.m. and she's in San Diego. So let me make the time change here real quick. San Diego, it would be 11. So you've seen 10 meteors since in the last hour. Aurora Borealis shining down in Dallas. Can you picture that? Wow, you just made a rhyme, Flatwater 5. I think that's going to be a song. All of those bright stars make up the spring or summer triangle. You are very right. That was Rainbow Valley. Sounds like you've done some stargazing, Rainbow Valley. If you can look up and say, all that happened by chance, well, that's very nice of you. Kerr D wondered if that meteor shower was going to hit us and harm us. Well, Kerr, be sure and tell him that the chance of a meteor shower hitting us and harming us is like a 1 in a 200-year event. I mean, almost always they burn up in the atmosphere, but there was a couple hundred years ago a meteor shower in Uganda that did some pretty serious damage, like hailstones coming down. But actually, the kind of hail that comes down, icy rain, it actually does more damage than what meteors do. Corona Borealis, you guys are amazing. You really learn these. Starfire Horizon, very encouraging. Johnny, lots of fireflies. Let me go back to the present. Oh, you just saw another one. Plant Life, just saw another one. You know, it's not like a firestorm yet. I mean, what you're looking at through this live stream is what I'm seeing looking at up in the sky, and I think some of you guys that are looking at the sky too, you're seeing the same thing I am. It's not that you weren't able to see it because it's over live stream, it's that it really didn't happen yet, like the media made it out. But you know, if nothing else, we met through this, you guys. And I really wish, I just wish that some of you would, oh, there was one. I wish some of you would subscribe, and then you could come back when we look at like real galaxies. And there was another one. So now I have to admit that was 2 in a row within 60 seconds. That was pretty fast, wasn't it? Huh. This has got me wondering, are we going to see an increased frequency here? But we met, and if you would like to subscribe, and if you wanted to hit that thumbs up, only if you want to, or the notification bell, and the notification bell, then you can come back when we're doing other content, when we're using the 11-inch telescope to look at like serious galaxies. We recently went all the way through all the Messier objects. That was 110 galaxies and nebulae and clusters and a couple of planetary nebulae, all in one night. And then we worked our way through the 110 Caldwell objects, the Caldwell list, you know, the Caldwell catalog. And now we're working our way through another list, which is called the Herschel 400. And so we're literally, I mean, literally, that's 220 plus. We've literally seen a couple of hundred objects in the last year, and we'd love to invite you back to see those on another night. So don't think it's a waste of time that we met, because now you can come back, now that you know we're here. And keep in mind, this is all free, and we don't advertise to sell anything. You can't buy merch. We don't give you some kind of a come on to go donate to something. We're just doing this because we love being with you guys. We love showing you this stuff. And honestly, I get a huge kick out of this stuff. I get a huge kick out of seeing this stuff. We usually live stream one live stream. That would be like this. No, a live stream once a week, whenever there's a clear sky night. We do try to let you know when that night is coming. And the best way to find out about that is, honestly, to watch the channel. We do one of those little posts. There was one. We do one of those posts about 24 hours before we're going to do a live stream. We also have a mailing list. If you go to emeraldhillskies.com, you can sign up for that mailing list. But let me make you some kind of a covenant here. And the covenant is, the purpose of that mailing list is to email you 1 or 2 nights before we're going to live stream. And that's what that's for. You don't ever get any kind of advertisements, and you don't get added to any kind of list, and nobody buys your information, and nobody steals your bank account. It's just a silly email list to let you know that we're going to do a live stream. And of that, you have my word. And hang around long enough, and I think you'll see I am going to keep my word with you. So that's one way to find out. Or you can just watch your YouTube subscription. If you have a YouTube identity, you can watch that. And I'll always do one of those posts about, 24 hours before we live stream. And then I record all of them. So even if you miss it or if it's the wrong time of day for you, you can always watch the recording the next day. And that would just be such an honor if you were to watch that. That would be so fun. Okay, so a couple of people saying good night. I don't blame you. It's 2 a.m. So I don't blame you. We're going to last for 23 more minutes, and then at the end, at 2:30, we're going to actually go see an object, something like a galaxy. So you guys need to tell me, what would you like to see? There are some people saying you should make merchandise, and it's going to come from Russia. Just kidding, they're saying. I love all of you guys' comments. Some of you said, I am not saying goodnight. Somebody said, I want to see the Andromeda Galaxy. I want to see the Milky Way. Saturn's rings. M13. Now see, M13 would be visible. I don't think we're going to see Saturn because I don't think it's up right now. I don't think the Andromeda Galaxy is up. But you know what? I'm going to find out just to make sure. The Whirlpool Galaxy. We got an astronomer on there who wants to go see M51. How about that? Good night from North Mississippi. See, I think some people are going to have to work tomorrow. So by all means, if you're going to fall asleep at work tomorrow, it's time to check out and go sleep. But if you want to stay for another 22 minutes, we're going to watch for these meteors, this meteor storm. You know what? Right there's one. I hope you saw that right here. Folks, I bet it's coming. I bet any minute they're going to stream down from the sky. And all the people that went to go sleep, they're all going to regret it because they're going to watch the video tomorrow and say, rats, I missed it live. I don't know. Maybe it'll come at 4 a.m., right? It's hard to say. Emerald Hill Skies were named after Sonic 2's Emerald Hill Zone. That is a great question. No, as a matter of fact, we were named that because this property upon which this observatory is built is called... There's another one! I am not making this. I am so not fabricating this. It's going to be in the recording. If you don't believe me, watch the recording right here. Let's start watching a little bit closer. Anyway, this 61 acres upon which this observatory is built is called Emerald Hills. And it is the training center for a nonprofit. And it happens that in my other life, I happen to be president of that nonprofit. So I gotta admit, I had some extra pull, and they did give us permission to build the observatory here. And I said, oh, you guys, this will be so cool to have an observatory on our training center land. And they did. They let us build. But don't tell them that we're doing this tonight. No, it is. It's a 61-acre training center here on the outskirts of Louisville. And now we've got this observatory here that you guys can watch. And so we call it Emerald Hill Skies because it's the skies above Emerald Hills. What direction should we look? Well, if you follow the arc to Arcturus, they're going to be coming from this direction, right here. But we're giving you a 150-degree sky view here. And so basically, if you look kind of toward the center of your screen, then that's where they're going to be. Now, if you've noticed that the telescope is kind of, by the way, can any of you see this very dim little gazebo-looking thing here? There are 29 of those on this property. They're scattered all over the trails. And that little gazebo, you're seeing more and more of it, aren't you? Because Arcturus is continuing to make its way across the sky. And as it does, it's going farther and farther in the west. So that's why you might be noticing if the telescope looked like it's leaning over a little more, then that's why. Let's take a look at the scope. See how now it's pointed farther down than it was, but it's still not real low, is it? And if you want to look, there's the way the telescope looks if you want to look inside the observatory. And see that little chair over there? That's where I'm sitting. So I'm in that chair right now, and I'm here talking to you in the Emerald Hill Skies Observatory. So thanks for being with us. Let's go back to the sky so we don't miss the storm. This is so unthinkable. Oh, there goes something. What is that? That must be... I'm going to have to step outside the observatory if I can even catch it. That's an airplane. I can see the lights on the wings. Man, it's beautiful. Okay, we're going to give this meteor storm around 18 more minutes, and then we're going to go look at something else. No pasó nada al final. Lamentablemente, no pasó nada. That means, I'm sure you guys know what that means, that nothing happened. Just came in from outside. Up all night for this. Some people want to be moderators. I don't even know how to do that. You got to remember, I've had 40 people in this live stream before. I don't know how to make somebody a moderator. Julian says it's a bust. But see, it's really not a bust because we saw these beautiful stars, right? And we did see a few meteors. And I think that's kind of cool. The fact that we saw a few meteors, right? Why is it upside down? Now that is a great question. It's because we have an equatorial mount, but it's not too upside down. It's not terribly upside down. It is leaning over to the side a little bit, that's true, but not too much. It's because it's an equatorial mount rather than that altazimuth that you're thinking of. And equatorial mounts swing with the nighttime sky, and when they start swinging over to the west, they look like they're upside down. Kodo-san saw 14 meteors. So see, two meteors back to back. Can you show us Orion's belt? You know, I don't think Orion is up right now. That's so sad, isn't it? But boy, we are going to see something. Let's start thinking. Tell me what you guys would like to see. Let me tell you some of the things we could see. We could, for example, we could see M13, the great, cluster in Hercules. We could see, oh my goodness, there are a lot of objects we could see. In the constellation, for example, Ursa Major and Cepheus, we could see some. Well, now there is Saturn rising in the east. We might be able to see Saturn. Saturn's not as life-changing in a RASA telescope like we have here, because the RASA is really designed to see 2 degrees, a little bit larger view of the nighttime sky, and Saturn really does better with a longer focal length, a longer focal length telescope that gives you a closer look at those rings. But Saturn's going to be a disappointment. Let's see if we can. What might you guys like seeing? For example, well, Messier 101, we could see that, which looks kind of like the Milky Way galaxy. We could see the double cluster. We could see the Whirlpool galaxy, Messier 51. That's above the horizon now, so somebody mentioned that a while ago. The Needle galaxy rose at 2 a.m., so that's going to be up. Hercules Cluster, we already mentioned that. Let's see. Some of these would be fun because I think there are going to be some people on the channel that haven't seen them before. Like here's the North America Nebula. It's very, very faint. But if you stack frames, it becomes beautiful after several stacked frames. Lots of different Messier objects. I'm thinking there's Bode's Nebula, which is really a spiral galaxy, by the way. But Bode didn't know that. Several open clusters. The Needle galaxy, we could do that. What would you guys like to see? Let me come back to the live stream and see what you're saying. My goodness. Pinwheel is in your frame. 101. My favorite galaxy is, never mind, Whirlpool galaxy. M31, Ring Nebula, Pinwheel, Cigar Galaxy. These are great suggestions, guys. We've got 12 minutes left. Anybody see any meteors recently? You know, my favorite is everything. M51, that would be good. There goes an airplane. Can you guys see that? See that in the upper left? That's a huge stripe, isn't it? It's a huge airplane. I think pretty low. Somebody saw a blue flash. Now that would be a trick. Because it is a monochrome camera. But maybe you were looking live. You're looking up at your own sky, I bet. M87 would be good. People saying, why are these airplanes ruining our sky? Oh, somebody heard the airplane. Doing Hawaii heard the airplane in the microphone. M51. 2 and 20 seconds. Was that live in your own sky or you saw them on the screen? That's exciting. Wouldn't it be cool if we saw these? And you 3,500 waited to see them. And the other 500 who had to go sleep, tomorrow you could send them all emails. You could say, you 500 guys, you should have stayed. Right? Any galaxy that is most visible, or ET. Pinwheel before it goes too low. Are you not seeing anything on the video? Because I'm monitoring the video and I'm seeing stuff in the video. Know thyself says, unsubscribe now. That's great. You guys are a case. I've just never talked to 3,600 people like this before. Any galaxy is the most visible. Okay, we'll go to the most visible galaxy. Wow, some of you all are being very encouraging. Look at what Jennifer said. I love this. I will be back to see where you can take me through space. Thank you for making this possible for regular people like me to see. Now that, Jennifer Miller, is the quote of the night. That is exactly what Emerald Hill Skies is trying to do. My goodness, I just want to send you some kind of, I don't know, plaque or something. This is just amazing. Send you flowers through the mail, because that's what Emerald Hill Skies is all about. Mr. B said, we see the video clearly, so there. Turn your quality up. It's obviously, oh, Starfire said, to know thyself, turn your quality up. It's obviously low. Oh my goodness. You guys are so nice. We're looking at a miracle. Seuss Among Us has to check out and say goodnight. You know what? I completely understand why you're having to check out. It's 2:22 a.m. for Pete's sake. Hypergirl GX. I mean this in the most amazing way. Your voice sounds like Winnie the Pooh. That's the most hilarious thing I've ever heard. Oh my goodness. Even though we did not see the storm, this was still an amazing experience, Elizabeth Zarin says. Bless your heart, Elizabeth. Lifelong patriot. Glad I came across your channel. Have had the astronomy bug the last 60 years. Have a few scopes myself. Jorge Murguia. Show us any galaxy. Doing Hawaii. I'm a student of the universe, from the volcanic core to the stars. I just can't get enough. Well, you're in a good place to do it if you were doing Hawaii, because that place is full of everything. You've got all kinds of jungle and high plateau and Mauna Kea mountaintop snow, and then you can go down and surf the very same day. It was only supposed to last 30 minutes, Curtis says. I know, but it's coming in bits and pieces. Only the people who stayed for the entire hour and 25. How long have we been going? Does it say somewhere how long have we been going? Please use your 800 times lens. Christina, your voice is... Oh, you guys are encouraging. Dark Meta says, can you say Dark Meta is the best Minecraft YouTuber? You guys are a case. 2 hours and 22 minutes. Footsteps for Jesus Christ Bride was kind enough to look that up for me. I don't know how you found that, but 2 hours and 21 minutes doing Hawaii says. Oh my goodness. Gypsy Daily says stream for another hour. You must be in some earlier time zone. It's 2:30 here. Mr. B, your quality is good, man. Don't worry about it. They don't understand noise from ISO. You are an astronomer, Mr. B. You know exactly what we're doing here, that we have our gain set on 300 and something, a high ISO, and so you know that noise is coming. Dayton just saw one pass by Houston. How do I get my money back? I Am Roger says. You know what? I Am Roger, I'm going to take down your address. I'm going to send you all the money that you contributed tonight. Suzanne Perez Ramos. This is all beautiful. I've seen a pretty good view of the showers on your live. Keep up the great work. I will return to watch more of your live streams. Have a great night, everyone. Perez Ramos. Good night, blessing. John, we did see meteors. I would say on the level of an average of one every, what, gang, 10 minutes? Gotichke Rosa said, say, oh bother. Oh bother. You guys are, you crack me up. 3,200 people. You know, Be Yourself has asked if the shower is over. All of us wish we had gone and taken a shower. Look at that airplane. Is that not the coolest thing? You can see the different lights on the wings. Was that not worth it just to see the airplane fly? I would say that airplane is like at 500 feet overhead, but it makes a great contrast with the stars. We're now 4 minutes away from going and seeing something that is in the deep space, the deep sky. So no, we didn't get the storm. The storm that we thought, it hasn't come yet, but maybe it's just that we're not staying long enough. But I know we have to go to bed, gang, because many of us have to go to work tomorrow, right? PR is short for Puerto Rico. Thank you very much, Suzanne Perez Ramos. I thought it was for Perez Ramos. Say it like Winnie the Pooh. John, I have no idea because I don't really watch Winnie the Pooh, so I have no idea. Oh, bother. I have no idea how he says it. Or is Winnie the Pooh a guy? I hope so. Oh, my goodness. That started a whole different subject. Let's see. Texas is getting a shower. Bailey says, amazing, love what you're doing. Great hobby. You guys crack me up. Yes, I have to work tomorrow. Shannon, that is so nice of you. Yes, I do have to work. I'll have to get up at like 7 a.m. Oh, I'm so glad, Rhonda, that he's a guy. Thank you so much. Oh, that's so nice of you, Kim. You had already subscribed before the guy said to unsubscribe. Because once you saw him say unsubscribe, you would have subscribed. That is such a nice thing to say. Did we see any fireballs? We did. We saw a couple that were wider than what you would think of when you think of a star trail. They were like, I know there had to be a sound effect. If I just had not been using my Winnie the Pooh voice or whatever, there had to be a sound effect. It probably sounded like across the nighttime sky. It probably did. Is there any visible that is something more exciting, I've always loved the stars. Taraisa Star says, no wonder it's your last name, Taraisa. It's nice to keep learning more and more. The world's an amazing place. Have you ever met gray aliens, S292 says? Like maybe when you've been in the middle of sleep paralysis? I don't think I have. That's a new one for me. But that is so nice of you to ask. What's the time? It is 2:29 a.m. That means we're 1 minute longer. And a couple of people are saying no refunds allowed. Gypsy Daly says that her 8-month-old is sleeping and she's going to be dog tired. She's saying, please just go 1 more hour. You guys. You guys can type fast too. I Am Roger says, it is what it is. You did a great job tonight handling all the watchers, even though it was a giant dud. Well, now, I don't think it was a giant dud personally, but that's maybe because I love these stars. I will be back to watch more of your content. Great channel. Okay, so I'm going to say I don't think it's a dud because we saw the stars. Wow, William looked up what airplane that was. It was JFK to Louisville. William, how did you figure that out? Less ground, more sky. Now that's a fair question. But see, we're aimed at the center of where the meteors are supposed to emanate from. So if we move the scope, what have we accomplished? But you know what? It's 2:30, so we are going to go hunting. I'm going to clip this microphone back on my shirt so that I don't have to hold it anymore, because you guys said I was kind of soft. And I'm going to go to our Planetarium software. So here's our planetarium software. Well, I said it was. And what this does, it kind of lets us see what's up. How about that? I didn't mean that to be a pun, but it really is a pun, isn't it? It lets us see what's up. And first thing I'm going to do is go over here and check under View and make sure that we're still connected to the scope, because it has been a while. And we are. So this planetarium software is controlling the scope. You know, it's kind of dangerous that I'm using maybe I should use my pointing thing. I have a ThinkPad, and I use that instead of the mouse pad because my fingers are so sweaty. When have I talked to 3,000 people before? So my fingers are sweaty. Well, it's 75 degrees here too, and it's humid. So here we are in the night sky. Let's do this. We're going to search for a thing I have called lists. And in these lists, we can look at, for example, tonight's best. And it'll automatically sort the things that are above the horizon for us. And we can click on altitude and figure out what's pretty high up in the sky. So the Hercules cluster would be something fast and easy. And so, oh my goodness, what just happened? Did you see that fireball? How about that? Do you know what that was? That was the planetarium software crashing. This is live TV, folks. And sometimes we've just got a lot going on. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go to this camera here, and I'm going to tell it, don't take 2-second pictures anymore. Let's go to 4-second pictures. And the reason is that it's going to be one less load on the processor and all. Okay, so now we're going to open Starry Night Plus again, and I'm going to slide it up here again, and then we're going to have to go back to that list again, lists, and we're going to go to tonight's best again. We're gonna, boy, I'm not used to using this, whatever you call that, in the middle of a ThinkPad. What do you call that? A Think Stick? What is that little touchpad thing? Okay, now we're gonna sort by altitude. And here's Hercules Cluster. So what we're gonna do is, we're gonna center on Hercules Cluster with our planetarium software. We're also going to go up here under View and show the telescope control, and we're going to connect to the telescope so that the planetarium software is controlling the telescope again. Hello, telescope. Hello, telescope. Okay, so while we're waiting for that to connect, we're going to bring up the information pane on the Hercules cluster. And slide it up into the screen. You can see these are past times when I've observed the Hercules cluster. So like May 9th, every time I see this, I'm in awe. Such a huge pack of stars traveling together through the night sky. Seeing this cluster, one of the guys that was with me, one of the 7 guys that was with me on that live stream, Papa Tech commented just how small we are. He is so right. This is huge and densely packed. That was the night of the Messier Marathon. And Here I just wrote it was gorgeous. Back in February I said so orange. September 5th I just looked it up. May 21st did a sky portrait of this giant globular. Amazing. So there we are in Hercules Cluster. Now why is this telescope taking so long to connect? I wonder if it is already connected and that screen is just slow to respond. Hello. Hello. I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to go up here into More. Up here in Hercules and see if the word slew is there. It's not. So we're going to go back here and say connect, and maybe the panel is connecting, but just not reporting that it's connected. No, that's not connected either. So why isn't it connecting? Hello. Okay, so we're going to go to an alternative plan. That would be use a backup, and for the backup, let's go to a program called Astro-Planner. Oh, it just connected. Did you see it? Well, it took it forever to talk to the telescope, didn't it? So when Astro-Planner opens up, if it does, I'm just going to close it because we don't really need it now that the Planetarium software is connected. So let me close this so it's not there like in the way. Okay, so I'm going to close Astro-Planner. And don't save any changes. Okay, now that we've got the scope connected to the Planetarium software, this is the way I would normally start. When you start with me on the live stream, I would have all this done. Now we're going to go to the Hercules cluster and we just right click on it and we say slew there. And so the telescope starts slewing. And you can see in the background of this sky cam, we changed views now. Because now we're looking at a different part of the sky, and the telescope seems happy pointed at Hercules. Now the next thing let's do is let's go over to our sharp cap, which is what is actually looking through the telescope itself. So now I'm going to go back to the screen here, and we're going to change our title, and we're going to say this is M13 Hercules Cluster. And then we're going to go to sharp cap here, and we'll put up here in the top M13. And let's make that a little bigger for you guys. Make that screen as big as we can. Having to use this little think pad thing, whatever that think stick deal is called, because my fingers are so sweaty, they're not working on the... Now see right there, you don't really see anything much, do you? Because you look up in the sky and you'll just see those stars. But what we're going to do now is use live stacking. I'm going to move this out of the way. We're going to use live stacking. And first, before we do that, let's plate solve and make sure that we're in the middle of the actual, oh, you know what, we got to connect our sharp cap to the mount too, but it doesn't take as long. Usually it connects right away. There we are. Now we're going to plate solve. And what this does is it captures a frame in the sky and it compares that frame to what it expected to see. And if it notices a difference, then it automatically repoints the telescope in the right direction. So that's pretty fun, isn't it? And yeah, like watching grass grow. Well, you kind of have to be patient as an astronomer. You know, it doesn't happen fast. So you see, we were a little bit off. We were 1.26 degrees off. Because why? Because this is our first target of the night. Oh my goodness, look, it pulled it right into the middle. Are you seeing that? And that's just with 3-second exposures at a gain of 400. So now what we'll do is we'll change to 20-second exposures. So you guys who stuck around, see, you're going to get to see this cluster, and the people who left because they thought it was slow, they're going to wish they had, because this cluster is pretty amazing. And that was just with a 3-second exposure. So now what we're doing is we're actually live stacking the night sky. And what that's going to do is it's going to stack one frame on top of another. And with each frame, we're going to be seeing a better and better image. Now I'm tempted to get rid of my Windows Red right now, but see, you're not seeing Windows Red. But here in the observatory, I have this monitor changed to red, so it won't be interfering with the image. I'll leave it that, but boy, I would love to see the colors. I would love to see the colors in that. You know what, I think I'm going to change it, because you know, I love to see the colors in these, and I think I can change it without bothering anything. Night light, yeah, oh my goodness, that's so blinding, but you know, at least we're going to see the colors now. Okay, so now what we do is we do a color balance. And we also pull the black level here over to the peaks of the color balance. So it makes the sky a lot blacker. And then we're going to grab the mids and pull them in some, so we can see a lot more of the colors. And then we're going to zoom in some. So notice how this Hercules cluster has a lot of different colors in it, oranges and greens. It is a fantastic sight when you stop and think about it, because all these stars are traveling together. It is in a pair of binoculars, it would look like a fuzzy ball, but what we're seeing is maybe around, I don't know how many stars it's breaking down into. Let's guess a couple hundred stars, but it is said to contain 400,000 stars in this one cluster that's traveling together. And the density in the middle of this cluster is incredibly high. Imagine living on a planet that's orbiting one of the stars in the center of this. You would basically never have a nighttime, because all these stars would be traveling through your sky. It would give you the appearance of them just one star after another would be going past your sky. This was discovered by Edmund Halley, and he was the same guy who predicted that the return of the comet would come at a particular time, and he was right, of course. This was also the target that was picked for the first radio message to be broadcast from the Arecibo Observatory. Somebody was on a while ago from Puerto Rico. That Arecibo Observatory, which I think was in a James Bond movie, wasn't it? Somebody will help us remember what James Bond movie that radio telescope was in. And in real life, the radio telescope's first message was sent to the direction of M13. And so we got to say, if there were if there are any alien civilizations, they know about us. But there's just one problem. This cluster is 25,000 years away. So from the time we sent it, when was that? Like the mid-60s, I forget when the Arecibo radio telescope was made. Once it was sent, it would take 25,000 years for our message to get there, and then if they answered us the same day, it would take 25,000 years to come back. So 50,000 year round trip once we send that message from the Arecibo radio telescope. So I'm just going to do a quick observation of this tonight so that I'll remember this, and here's what I'm going to say. I'm going to say, I'm going to associate it with an observing list, and the observing list I'm going to associate with is maybe I don't have a session up yet, so oh, that's because this thing is in the way. This observing session deal. I'm going to bring this up so you can see it. I'm going to associate this with best deep sky objects. And for observing session, we're just going to leave it untitled, and I'll title it later. I can't believe, I'm going to say, I can't, oh rats, this is one of those times when you have to delete this log entry and start over. Yes, delete, and start over because I can't believe, oh, I'm going to have to delete this one too. Usually you only have to delete the first couple, and the rest of the night it works okay, but that is kind of bothersome. And I'm going to say, I can't believe there were 2,500 people looking at M13 with me tonight. That's just unreal. The night of the predicted meteor storm, but the only storm that happened was the amazing showing in the Emerald Hills Skies live stream. Haha. Okay, so that's our observation of this object, and if you stop and think about it, we're looking back, we're looking at light that took 25,000 years to get here, and when they landed on this scope, when that light landed on the mirror in that scope, the way this telescope's made is the mirror is right here. Those photons came in, and when they hit that mirror, they bounced up at the camera. The camera's up there on the top. When they hit that camera sensor, those photons ended their 25,000 year journey. And nobody else in the universe will ever see the same photons that you are seeing right now. Is that not cool, or what? Now I'm going to look and see what some of you guys said about this. Some of you are just going crazy. Off to bed, Mary says. Oh, she subscribed. This scope is an 11-inch Rowe Ackermann-Schmidt astrograph. So it's an 11-inch RASA. And it's paired with an ASI, a ZWO ASI2600MC Pro. You guys are so nice. Diameter, Lifelong Patriot says, is 145 light years wide. My goodness, if you stop and think about that, it's 4 light years to the nearest star. Imagine getting 400,000 stars in the space of 145 light years. I don't think there would be a black hole at the center of this. This is a cluster that's traveling together through the universe. I have not checked the subscription count yet. I have no idea. I've been all in with you guys. decent light show in the desert in Utah. That's good. This is M13, the Hercules Cluster. No way doing Hawaii. You're kidding me. You were joking. Do you guys see what she just said? She said when she started watching the stream that the channel was at 1,230 subscriptions. Well, I got news. When we started this, we were at 670 subscriptions. And Doing Hawaii says we're now at 3,320. That's impossible. I'm not even gonna go there. Okay, let's say our last view, and let's take a picture of this. So the way we take a picture, you know, this mouse is slower than the one I use indoors because I have this wheeled mouse. We're going to save a picture of this. It kind of reminds me of something Christmassy. One of those Christmas icicle things or something. Let's just do one more object since there are still 2,300 people there. Let's do one more object. There's the nighttime sky just in case. Checking to see if there are any other meteor storms going on. Do you think this is the Milky Way? Look at that. Would that be the Milky Way? Wow. If it is, that's amazing because you can't see the Milky Way from Louisville, Kentucky outskirts. It's invisible. So this camera taking 4-second images, this camera is seeing something you can't see with your naked eye. It's not visible. That's amazing. Okay, let's go back to SharpCap and let's stop our live stacking and let's go back to our Planetarium software. We use Starry Night Pro, but if you guys are interested in this, you could go to the web and download Stellarium. And it is a great planetarium software, and it's free. And it's for all platforms. It's Stellarium, S-T-E-L-L-A-R, like stellar, Stellarium. Let's do one other thing. Let's do the Ring Nebula. Let's go see the Ring Nebula. So first we're going to center on it. And then we're going to, that was a Milky Way, look at it. And then we're going to slew to it. And there goes the telescope. So it's kind of almost robotic, isn't it? I mean, it's kind of figuring out where it has to go to show us the Ring Nebula. Now, your live view behind the camera, just for your night sky orientation, you would be looking at it like as if you could look over its shoulder and look directly toward the North Star. So what it's doing here is it's looking, wow, that's very close to the zenith. So we better act fast, huh? Not too close, though. You can see that it's pointed just barely east. Just barely east. So now let's go back to our screen and let's zoom in a little bit on this object. Well, let's zoom in. I'm missing my, there we go. I missed my, there was the constellation Lyra, and then what we're doing is we're zooming in here. So that's the object we're trying to see. It's very small. So what we'll do here is we'll plate solve again to make sure we're aimed right at it. So we're going to plate solve and resync. So again, this is a really cool feature. What it's doing is it's taking a snapshot of the nighttime sky, and then it's comparing that snapshot with what it should have seen if it were looking at the right place in the sky. And then it compares the two and it realigns the scope if the scope is not exactly pointed correctly. And I can already see the ring nebula, and when I close this, you'll be able to see it too. Let me get my silly mouse up there. I can't wait to be back indoors again. And right there in the middle of the screen is where the ring nebula is going to be. We were 1 degree off, and this is the way it happens on our first couple of targets of the night. And finally, we get close enough in the mount, figuring out its corrections, that our model is good enough that you don't even have to do any plate solves anymore. You're just right spot on every time. So now what we're going to do is we're going to change our sequencer back to those live stacking. And I'm going to change the name to Ring Nebula, and I think, isn't that M27? I have to look it up. I think it's M27, isn't it? M57, of course. M57. So we'll put that little screen there. M57. So I'm going to change the name up here to M57. And then change the name down here to M57. M57, the Ring Nebula. And then go back to the screen and we say yes. And now let's zoom in. And what we're going to do first is just go to the optical zoom limit. Now, this is an interesting object. We could touch up our focus on this. And you know what happens is during the night, your focus gets off a little bit, and so we're seeing this just a little bit fuzzy. Do you want to go change the focus, or do you want to just look at it here? You guys decide. It would take us about 4 or 5 minutes to go focus. This is the limit, Curtis. Hi, Curtis. Good to have you here, by the way. This is the limit of the optical zoom. A couple of you are saying, yes, let's go focus. So it only takes us 4 or 5 minutes. So here's what we do. We have to close. Well, I could try just focusing here. Let's just try focusing here. That'd be faster, wouldn't it? So we're going to connect to our focuser. And let's try going in this direction here. And let's see if we can just, oh, we're live stacking now. Let's stop live stacking, because it's not going to help us if we're focusing during the live stack. So we're going to go to this sequence here, and then we're going to try to just bump this focus better right here as we go. So that's 30 stops in one direction. You guys tell me if you think that's getting better or worse. Does that sound like an eye doctor? Is this better or worse? A or B? That's worse. Okay, so let's go the other direction. So I'm going to go 1 time, 2 times, 3 times. Now we're back where we started, and we'll go 1 more bump, 1 more bump, one more bump. What do you think? Is it looking any better? Did we go past? I think we better wait till it settles for a second, huh? We're zoomed in at 100% here. So that's 30 stops the other way now. Ah, that's not bad. Actually, that's not bad, is it? Let's go one more stop and see what you guys think. That was a little better, wasn't it? Did I go one stop too far? I'm going to look and see what you guys are saying. It looks sharp, Godless says. Nebulas are fuzzy anyway. Okay, we're going to go with this. Okay, so what we're looking at here is the Ring Nebula. Now, in a way, these objects are typically called planetary nebulae, but that's kind of a weird name, isn't it? Because it's not a planet and it's not a nebula. What this is, it's a star, and I don't know if you can see all the way here in the middle. We're going to see it better as we live stack. So let's start live stacking. When we live stack, what we do is we increase the exposure to 20 seconds, we decrease the gain to 100, and we start stacking images on top of each other. And we're going to clear that live stack in this sequence automatically. So what these live stacks do is they basically average the pictures like your HDR does on a cell phone. So with each 20-second exposure, I don't know if you can see in your view, I don't know if you can see down here in the lower right. See where my mouse is moving down here in the lower right? There is a bar graph that shows the exposure length. And so every time that bar graph hits the top, it's another exposure. And with each subsequent exposure, the darks get darker and the lights get lighter and the color gets better. Because what we're doing is we're taking 20-second time exposures and then stacking them on top of each other. And we're doing that real time instead of using Photoshop or some other kind of processor. All of this is real time. And then down here in the bottom of the screen, we can take these are called histogram controllers or whatever, and we can move them, and that impacts what the picture is showing us, especially in regard to its pulling in faint objects. And what I'm trying to get to here is so you, with your own eyes, can see the star that formed this planetary nebula. And I hope right now you're going to be able to see it. Inside of this planetary nebula, it kind of will begin to look like a tiny white dot. And that white dot is the thing that made this object. Now I'm going to go up here under the zoom, and we're going to zoom in a little bit more, and I think structurally you'll be able to see that dot, but now we're in what you might call the digital zoom of the camera, because we've gone past the limit of its optics now, of our ASI2600MC Pro camera. It's APS-C size frame, and we're zooming past it so that you can see the structure. And if you look very close, I hope, somebody tell me in the YouTube stream, are you seeing that white little dot in the middle? That white dot was basically becoming a bigger and bigger and more powerful star over time. And it became like the equivalent of a red giant, but then it burned its fuel so fast. And when it did, it lost the furnace inside of it, the ability to control the full gravity of the huge giant that it was, and when that happened, it puffed out all of this material that you see here, kind of like blowing a dandelion in a lawn, except the puff came from inside the dandelion. So all of the materials get puffed out like a dandelion puffs out in all directions, 360 degrees. Then over time, some of those materials align with the magnetic poles of the star. And that's why, if you look up on this top side, this was the star's, let's say that's the star's north pole, and this is a star's south pole. It is actually aligning all that material with its magnetic poles. And it's also backlighting that material, because when it jettisoned this material, it shrunk down into what might be someday a white dwarf, and it caught fire again, so to speak, and began illuminating all that material with a kind of a neon light, kind of backlighting. And now it's got this giant globe around it, kind of like the globe of a lamp on your end table, or the globe of a white balloon at a party on the lawn at the Hilton Hotel. And they have a little bitty light inside the white balloon, but the white balloon is big, so now the light illuminates the whole garden party. That's what this is. It's a white balloon illuminating the garden party. And this object is the Ring Nebula. It's M57, and you can come back and see it the very same every single night of your life, and always looks this beautiful. Can you see the red now showing up around it? That's some of the material that was jettisoned out first, and then the green, and then finally the green inner shell, and then the white dot in the middle. Let's go back to the 100% level so that you can just see it at the limit of the optical zoom. And that is a planetary nebula, and it's really beautiful, isn't it? I'm going to see what you guys are saying about it. Will it become a solar system? I don't think so, because it's in the last stages of its life. And our sun might do this in like 40,000 years, maybe. Show the James Webb. It's like 1,000,000 miles away, and it's the size of a tennis court, so we can't really see the James Webb Space Telescope, but it's going to show us more beautiful views than this because of its ability. Okay, last object, and we are definitely going to bed, okay? It's 2,000 people, I'm sorry, 1.9 thousand people. We're going to see one last object. Before we go, though, we're going to do one last thing, and that is write down an observation on this. On this historic night, 2,000 people watched the Ring Nebula real time, all together, all around the world. Now see, I don't know if this has happened before. Have 2,000 people ever looked at the Ring Nebula all together at the same time, together, all around the planet? I don't know if that's ever happened before, but it happened tonight for sure. And I'm going to take a picture of it, and this becomes history at Emerald Hill Skies. One last object. Somebody wants to see M51. Let's see if it's still high enough. Let's take a look. M51. So we're going to just search for M51 here. M51, and we're going to center on it, and we're going to, well, we better center on it first so that we look and see if it's high enough, right? Round and round and round she goes. It is high enough. Okay, so let's slew to it. Slew is just another word for move. And again, this is what the observatory looks like. It's a 10 by 10 foot roll-off roof observatory. So the roof literally rolls off. And I would show you that, but it would wipe out the telescope, wouldn't it? But I could roll it just a little bit, couldn't I? Oh, let's live dangerously. Here's the scope live. I'm going to get the motor controller, and I'm going to try to just roll the roof just a little bit, but not collide with the scope. Ready? Here we go. So there, you see the whole roof rolls. So there you go. That's fun, isn't it? Anyway, oh my goodness, this is a high seat. Anyway, where were we? We're gonna drop back to, first we're gonna go to screen view so you can see what the telescope's seeing. We're gonna go back to the full view of the camera, and we're gonna do one more plate solve. This is our third object, and I usually plate solve 3 objects in a row just to get the mount properly aligned with the stars. And unless you do this, the mount doesn't really have a good alignment. I don't usually use a 3-star alignment because in a way this becomes the 3-star alignment, since we can plate solve now with this new technology, relatively new technology in SharpCap, like a year old, and it's going to be off about 0.8 degrees. So every time it gets better, and then the telescope's going to make a slight correction, and there you see live, it's correcting, and there's M51 right in the middle. You can already see it there. So let's change our name up here to M51, and while we're at it, let's change our name down here to M51, the Whirlpool Galaxy. And what we'll do now is we'll start the live stack, and then we'll look and see what messages have come in, what people have been saying. So we're going to go start imaging. And again, this changes, remember, it changes. You see one little speck of the ring nebula there, don't you? Because it looks very briefly. Gypsy Dale, what do you think about Orion stars aligning with the pyramids? That's a really great question, Gypsy Dale. I think some of those early Egyptians were really good astronomers, and they figured out how to build something so carefully. And that is not a lie. I mean, some of that early construction is so aligned with the night sky, it's quite obvious that they were really gifted astronomers. Carlos Vega is going to have a hard time sleeping. It's been an enjoyable night. Thank you. That's so nice of you to say, I'm Roger. M57 Ring Nebula was awesome. This is so fun, Stryker. So nice of you. You guys are incredible. You're so funny. Some of you saying, flat Earth? What in the world? Shannon Allen, you're my hero. Such an encourager. Okay, Hudson Valley, 9 meteors, time to go to bed. I don't blame you. It is time to go to bed. This is our last object. What we're going to do now is adjust this, first the color balance, so we get a good color balance here. And then we're going to move the black level over to boy, My finger is so sweaty, this mouse. But see, on the inside, normally I'm observing from indoors. Ah, here we go. I'm normally indoors and there's no problem with my trackpad. I'm trying to use this little think stick gizmo again. Here we go. That's working. Put the black level about right. Maybe what do you think, right there, and then move these mids in. Let's also zoom in. It's not a ultra large target, so let's zoom into right there. Center things up. And let's let it collect some live frames. That's just 120 seconds. So that's only 2 minutes of what you call integration. But you can already see after 2 minutes that you're starting to see some really good spiral structure here of this galaxy. And these rings, these little spiral arms are almost like the material that's being slung out, like you sling things out from a centrifuge. And what happened is another galaxy came along. And these two galaxies are kind of, in a way, making friends, you could say. And when they did that, their gravitational attraction is kind of causing the arms to go haywire. So this little galaxy is, I think they call this little galaxy, don't they call it M51A? It's wrecking havoc with M51 here. Now notice we still got some star formation going on here in these arms. And this is not uncommon that when you get tidal, and by that I mean T-I-D-A-L, like the tide, just like the moon affects the tides, this other galaxy, M51A, has come in and affected M51. When you get these tidal forces at work, for some reason it sets off a lot of star-forming region. And look at the middle of this galaxy. It's the bright core there, that hub. And it's like the one in the middle of the Milky Way. It's a bulge, and it's so bright. There's probably a black hole in the middle of this, you know, to beat the band. It's probably an incredible black hole there, I bet. But these spiral structures, let's zoom in a little bit more on them, even though now we're going to be using digital zoom. I really like the digital zoom on something like M51 because you can see the dust in the arm and the structure of the spiral galaxy so clearly. Now, granted, some of these stars are probably in the foreground, but in these arms are some stars that are not in the foreground. They are brand new happy birthday stars that were just made because of all the star formation that's going on as these two galaxies duke it out. It's like tying together two cats and with their tails and then throwing them over a clothesline. These galaxies are having at it, and probably someday in a time far away they'll perhaps completely merge and form one big haywire galaxy, and maybe then we'll just give it a new name. But for right now, what would you name it? Astronomers have called it, I believe, the Whirlpool galaxy, right? M51. The swirls are millions of stars. Wow. Curtis, you are so kind to encourage James Irvin. Can't we all just get along? That's awesome. Oh, you guys are awesome. Wow, William, that's a great question. Are there other civilizations on other planets that are rotating, that are revolving around these stars that we're seeing? I don't know. Wow, these are so many good. Nathan Post wants us to show him Patrick Stewart. I think you had to have watched Star Trek Next Generation to understand that. Jean-Luc Picard. He wants to see Jean-Luc out there. These are fantastic comments. If you had a telescope that could zoom in on a planet 1,000 light years away, should what you see be in real time, not 1,000 years ago? No, it's still going to be the light that's landing that left that planet 1,000 years ago, because when you zoom in, you're really still just seeing the same photons. You're just seeing those photons in a clearer way, you see. Your telescope didn't really change its location any. So they still had to come 1,000 light years to get to you. Remember, light years are a measure of distance, not time. So these are great. Okay, gang, let me tell you, this has been one of the funnest live streams ever because it's so improbable. What are the, by the way, before we get off of this object and I forget, let's save a picture of it, because this picture we'll always remember was the picture that 1,800 of us saw together. And has this ever happened before? Have 1,800 people live observed M51 together at the same time from all over the planet? I mean, certainly we've all looked at astrophotos of this after the fact, but that's like after the fact. Has there ever been a time when 1,800 of us looked at the same photons live? I don't know, but this has got to be one of the most fun times ever for me. So I got to say to you guys, thank you so much for being a part of this. I'll just once again say we live stream usually once a week. We usually do these for 90 minutes to 120 minutes, so about 2-hour live streams. It can vary based on when the clear nights come. Usually we're observing from inside. There's a building about 200 feet over there, and it's a lot more pleasant. I'm feeling pretty clammy, and the dew has dropped down, and it's getting pretty misty here, and the scope is going to be wet, you know, with dew. Usually we're inside that building. It's a lot more fun, and the mouse is better, and things move faster. So I hope you'll come back and visit. For that to happen, it would be easier if you'd hit subscribe. And if you don't mind, only if you want, but only if you want, you could click that thumbs up, and that would get it up into the searches that other people would look for. And you could also click the bell if you wanted. That would notify you when we're live streaming or when we do a post about when we're going to live stream. So thank you for being a part of this. This has been life-changing for me. I've never had a chance to do astronomy live with 2,000 people before, and you guys did it. So thank you for being a part of this. I got to say also, thanks to God, who I think made all this stuff, and it's because of God that we were able to see it tonight, this beautiful image of M51 that we saw. So thank you so much for being a part of this. I hope to see you again. God bless and have a great evening wherever you are. I hope you can get up for work in the morning. Good night. God bless.